Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another live stream of the Currie Cup. This one, the Western Province taking on the Bulls. This has been said to be match of the weekend. It hasn't even taken place yet, but I am hoping that it's going to be an extremely close game and a very awesome derby between these two sides. Looking through at the starting lineups for these teams. First of all, for the Western Province, some real skill across the starting 15, as well as quite a few sevens men in the equation as well. But in the front row will be Satoli Ntubeni, and also we do see there Kovis Elof, who was at the Rebels before that side did end up disbanding. But he is a great scrummager, a great workhorse, and will be entertaining to see him in that number 3 jersey. Groves alongside Gary Porter as the locking duo, with Zane Davids, the big man from the Blitz box, now as the 7, and Moraes starting in as the number 8. Kyle Smith and also Assad Moose will be the 9 and 10 combo. In the midfield, it is Marcus alongside Berger, and then Kua Nokia from the 7s, Cornell Scosson, who has pure pace, out on the other wing, and then Shilton van Wyk, another 7s man, slotting in as the 15. And this matchup for the Bulls, across their starting lineup, quite a few guys that we did see throughout the URC season. That can be said, of course, about that Western Province side as well. But in the front row will be Dylan Smith alongside Joe Fansel and Francois Klopper. Manjezi alongside Marvin Ori in the locking duo. Number Kaba as the 6. Pokomela 7 and Rudolph starting in as the number 8. Zach Berger alongside Buta Chamberlain as the number 10. That is a dangerous duo. We've seen it work for the Bulls before. Can we see it work for the Blue Bulls in this Currie Cup competition? Trevino Jacobs out on one wing, Chris Smith in the midfield alongside Stedman Hans, and then Letebelli out on the other wing, and Henry Immelman as the number 15. The last two head-to-heads between these two sides, they both took place last year. 50 points to 30, the win for the Bulls, and then 30 points to 25. That was in the opening round. But this year, question is, will it be different? This Western Province team looks strong, but the Bulls, they've got a great side put together on the field. They are considered as one of the favourites of the competition. They have got many players available that could make a real impact. The question is, will it be closer than 25-30? I hope so. But we'll have to, of course, wait and see. Looking through quickly at the bench, and then we will be looking at the chat. But quite a few handy players for Western Province once more. Another man from the 7s, and Tristan Lade sorting in as the number 23. Also Makata there as the 22 for the Blue Bulls. They have got Jacobus Robela as the number 19, Erasmus at 18, Nkuboka as the 17. So I think these two sides are going to be pretty strong. And hopefully Cape Town Stadium, like I said, it could be the host of match of the weekend if we get lucky here and both sides do play some very strong rugby. We got hello everybody, long time no see. Says Bruce, welcome in. Western Province will take it today. Says Colleen, let's go the Bulls. Says LFG. And also we have got there, yeah, you sound familiar. Says Mike there. And is this game available on Supersport? Can't find it anywhere. I'd assume that it is. And I also think it would be on pretty much straight after the coverage of the Sharks versus Lions game. So hopefully you are able to find it in the near future. Got the Bulls, says Chantel. And hi guys, and Hamish says 123MS, and Burger sounds delicious right now. And there we go, thanks Hamish. No time for a power nap for you, sorry. Says Rhea, yeah, we had the quick turnaround of pretty much trying to fire up the stream straight away. I want to do a bet. Says one. I'm not a bookie though, so I can't place anything for you. What is your prediction, though, Zwan, that you want to bet on? I mean, I did get the last match slightly correct. I did say that Max Wani would score more tries than anyone else, and he did. He got himself the 2 in that game. Although there were a couple of players who were relatively close, like of an Angelo Davids. All but got his second as well. New Zealand is waking up to Hamish now. Says cool story, bro. And of course, there is another game that has taken place for us here in New Zealand, and that is the match between the Black Ferns the Black New Zealand XV, I should say, and also South Africa. So glad to see you doing commentary today. I'm 500% Western Province and Stormers supporter. Says Gideon there. And also morning Hamish. Says Blues Night. So it is great to see so many of you guys tuning in. Black Ferns just scored. Didn't they start like 2 minutes ago in that contest? What we're going to do here, though, is we're going to go into the old Multiview and see how this is going to go. Because I assume Black Ferns is on Sky Sport 1. There we go. So yeah, Hannah King is the first kick of the day. They scored within 2 minutes, that game for the Black Ferns. We don't quite want to go full screen, but we'll go like that. We'll go like that as well. There we go. We got the multi-screen selection, ladies and gents. So I can see the score on the South Africa versus Black Ferns XV Game 2. Which international competition should Boland, Boomers and Griquas join? Premiership, Super Rugby, South America, or MLR? It's tricky. Are they playing games at home? Or are they being an away side for that competition? Because that probably plays factor a little bit. Of course, you don't want them traveling massive distances consistently. Can you not pull up the squad? Or can you pull up the squad if you already did? If not, it's okay. Says Gatson. So I have, but I can put it up again as we are very close to the start of this game. Western Province. So this is where you'll see your sevens fellas. You've got Huan Nokia out on the left wing. Shilton Van Wyk playing at number 15 for this game. And then Zane Davids there as the number 16. Also Tristan Lades off the bench. People who know the Rebels from Super Rugby, you'll recognise this man's name. Elof, he was the tight head prop for the Rebels back in the day. And then the experience of some of those Stormers, guys, Satorli, Skara Untapeni in that number 2 jersey. Skorson, I mean, that man's got experience all around the world. But you do see there just the coin toss that did take place beforehand. It seems like there was massive amount of confusion in terms of what way both sides were trying to work out they were going before the match. In fact, that's the longest conversation I have ever seen about a decision of what way a side is going. Zane Davids getting it slightly confused there. Speaking of Zane Davids, of course, he is starting in the number 6 jersey for the Western Province for the Bulls. They have got Nabakaba, who is a very handy player for the Bulls. And that's the thing. There's a lot of talent across these two these two lineups. I do think that is going to be what makes this best game of the weekend. Marvin O'Ree, I'm curious to see how he goes. I feel like I haven't watched that man play a game of rugby in forever. Hopefully he goes all right. Of course, he was a part of the box not too long ago. We have only recognised 3 and 6, maybe 11, says Katzenel there. Shilton Van Wyk, you'll also know, though, in that number 15 jersey, Katzenel, if you know your your blitz box side. And I think once you see him, you'll be like, he is in that 7th circuit. Currie Cup is the most chilled out thing a New Zealand rugby fan can watch, I think, says Cool Story. Well, the best thing about it is, we can just watch these games from a neutral standpoint and just enjoy them for what they are, which is hopefully going to be a fast-paced, entertaining game of rugby. The Bulls 41 to the Western Province 21. So here's Mike. Antos of cheese, ham, tomato, and mayonnaise with bacon, says Ruth. And the new movie with Hamish as hero, Die Hard, kicks off soon, says Ruth there. And both sides making their way out of the tunnel. Namakama, they are showing him. He is the captain. I didn't actually realise he was the captain of the side. I thought that... no, actually, no. Now that I think about it, he was the guy across from Zane Davids when they were doing the coin toss. Now, they are just showing Black Ferns XV versus South Africa. The question is, do you guys want updates of that game as well? Or do you want me to keep silent about it? Because I do know the score. I can see that game. They're currently 6 minutes 24 through. And some may not... Oh, never mind. That was close to South Africa being able to score. If they're playing overseas. So if they're playing as an overseas side, I do think that honestly, Premiership rugby could be interesting for them, although they might not quite have that same funding as those sides do. But I think that would be the case for most competitions. Maybe Super Rugby Americas would be the best fit for them in terms of the competitiveness and whatnot. And that would still give the opportunity for, a little bit more of a boost as well. We will go like this. And like that as well. But the odds for this game, they're quite close, which is a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, these are two very entertaining teams. We've got Yes given an update. So at the moment, Black Ferns XV winning 5-0 after the 7.5 minutes, but South Africa are on attack inside of New Zealand 22. But this game with Bota Chamberlain, we are now underway for this Currie Cup contest. 45 points to 39 is the prediction for 123 MS. So he is going high scoring and close between these teams. The ball in the hands of the Western Province. And Moose will now roll this one back. We have got there. Can we get a shout out for the Hulkster? Says Damo. And yeah, the sad passing of Hulk Hogan. Does that mean for the next Sevens event, Damo, you are going to be in once again? I know that you have been in an ad as him before, or at least not like a paid ad, but like an ad where they showed you at the game. Now Buta Chamberlain knocks that ball backwards. Western Province kicking it through. Taking opportunity. A little bit of scrappiness there, but well cleaned up by Stravino Jacobs. And for the Bulls, says 123 MS. Are you streaming NPC games in Auckland? I'm hoping to do a few games of the Bunnings NPC. They're actually going to be starting up next weekend, aren't they? When it comes crashing down, it hurts inside. Says Big Rig. Zach Berger ready to go for the box kick. 1 minute into the contest. NPC and FPC games? Not sure. As I also don't know if we're doing a huge amount of the Women's Rugby World Cup. I want to do a lot of those games, but I've learnt that the final overlaps with the Rugby Championship game between South Africa and Argentina. So it seems like they really didn't schedule that one well. Going to double down 3 different Hulk outfits next Sevens. Says Damo, that is full commitment. Do applaud it, but that is going into touch now. Good kick downfield from Chamberlain. And now means that the Bulls have relieved that pressure. Just feel like it's actually, I want to say, maybe that's too much, but I'd say like 15,000 watching for this game. It actually looks like a really good crowd for a first round of the Currie Cup. It was back in those old school days. Currie Cup used to fill stadiums, oh yeah, says Damo. And we have got there, which is more competitive, NPC versus Currie. I would say that the worst side in the NPC is closer than the worst side in the Currie Cup. Like, basing off what we saw last year for the Griffins with their minus 350 points difference, I'm hoping that Boland aren't going to end up with that this year. But, like, even the worst sides in the NPC still can beat the best sides every once in a while. My white cat is sitting in front of the pantry. He's about 4 hours too early, but that kick has crossed the field. And they will go back for the initial penalty in favour of the Bulls now. He already did have that penalty advantage going against Alex Groves. This one should be nice and easy for the 3 points if they do want it, but it looks like they are kicking by the corner, the Bulls. Perhaps seeing that scoreline from the last game and going, we need as many points as physically possible. Now, going to be that line out chance. Not too far away from the line. Looks like maybe that knee is playing up a little bit here for one of the Bulls players. We are only 100 seconds into this contest and already a bit of discomfort. Handling errors at the moment in that game between South Africa and New Zealand. The Black Ferns having 3 compared to South Africa with their 1. Score in that one still sits 5-0. Score for this game, we are still 0-0. Waiting for the chance to throw this one is Joe Funsale. Field position at the moment, they are sitting 10 metres out from the line. A decent kick from Buta Chamberlain. But there is that knee injury here of Francois Klopper. And he stayed down for quite some time, unfortunately. Just doesn't look happy. Francois Klopper's Currie Cup debut in 2021. Trying to put a little bit of weight on it. Just doesn't look good, though. Looks like he's going to continue. They didn't put any extra strapping on it, which is surprising. If it is a knee problem. He's jumping around, though. He should be fine. Knows how important this rolling ball will be for a side as Joe Funsale is ready to throw this ball in. And going to the front, nicely played. Finds the hands of Marvin Ori. Another advantage going the way of the Bulls. They just were dragging down the maul. Now pick and go, no advantage. That time for offside. And 3 metres out from the line, Rudolph with the carry. That is close to the try line there for the Bulls. Maybe just short for Junior Pokomela. It's been called as held up. I'm going to check it. It was extremely close to the try. Right, they're going to go back for the initial advantage now, so it is still going to be the penalty to the Bulls, and in a good position on the park once more. And ready to put this one into touch for Mutta Chamberlain, although they are dealing with now another injury. This one looks like it's Joe Funsale, all the front row for the Bulls going down thick and fast here for the early stages. It's not really what you want to be seeing. You want to see those guys be able to go throughout the whole season. We saw a career, or not a career ender, but sadly what could be season ender in that last match of the Currie Cup. G'day, Hamish. I didn't catch the quarterfinal or the final quarter of your Lions Test streams. What are your thoughts on the final try controversy? We do love that question, as we've had it a few times. I think that, honestly, the way that refereeing is at the moment, they could have ruled it as either way, and I wouldn't have been surprised. You know, it's one of those ones that he made contact with the neck. The referee said that they both joined at the same time, which he possibly isn't completely wrong about. But, yeah, it's one of those ones. It was a bit of a anticlimactic end to what, other than that, was regarded as a brilliant test match between the two sides. Right, we've still got the injury at the moment that is being dealt with. Okay, I think that maybe Nabakaba here has actually said to the referee, our player is down because the opposition are taking out limbs. They're going for the knees. Now, ready for this line out again. It will be Joe Funsale, who has made his way back to his feet. And Jake Shitty, the coach Lions, or the Cheetahs, most underrated coach in South Africa or else in the top 14, says 1-2-3 MS. Now rolling maul again, Joe Funsale receives it off the back. 4 minutes into the contest. This will be hard to stop. Entry through the side. He'll be over the line anyway. Is that going to be a yellow card too? Because that was very close to making a bad choice for the number 10, Kyle Smith. The first try of the contest, though, after some good pressure coming from the Bulls. They will strike first in this contest. Well, we will go like this and like that as well. But yeah, the rolling forward, Funsale just rolling over and getting that one down in time. The hand injury looks painful, says Chantel. Yeah, it's never fun when you've got those injuries around the hands, around the fingers. Because they're just one that if you knock it the wrong way, it's just going to hurt even more. Now, Mutta Chamberlain. Chance to go for this kick. Just like the Bulls' history, more Western Province has certainly improved significantly. The kick is great from Mutta Chamberlain, now making the score 7-0 in favour of the Bulls. Well, we'll go like that and like that. There we go. But now will be the kickoff here for the Western Province. Haven't had the best start to this contest. Definitely hasn't been. Although they're going to get the easy 3 points here if they want it after the penalty is awarded in their favour for a bit of obstruction from the Bulls. And good starts are needed, says Ruth. And also the muscles there from Mike. Both of these sides going to have to muscle up front. And the decision to go for the 3 has been made by the Western Province, currently 6 minutes into this fixture. Referee looking at the watch. We did see a try in the first game of the Currie Cup have its conversion disallowed because the kicker took it afterwards. You're using Inspect Element to update the score? Maybe. They haven't got a live scoreboard, so I had to slightly switch it around a little bit. Good starts are needed, says Ruth. And tough enough, says Ruth there. Now lining up this kick for the Western Province. And we'll take the 3, ref. I can't give you the 3, but I can give you a go. And that kick has gone over. And that exchange lives rent-free in my head, says Big Rig. Also, I expect the ingenuity, says the Big V8 show. So now the score 3-0. The only problem that I have is I don't have a timer, sadly. Which would have been much nicer for this one. And also Morgan Turanuri had a good cry after the game in regards to the last try. He did. He actually said some stuff that might get him in a bit of trouble because he pretty much said that the referee cost the Wallabies a game and that was nothing less then a penalty, and that they made the absolutely worst decision that they could have. Now, 40 metres out from the line, the Bulls straight back on the attack. Zach Berger going across to Buta Chamberlain. Now Stedman Hans. He's building quite nicely at the moment here for the Bulls. Zach Berger, short ball from Francois Klopper. It was very close to forward. Close the game? I hope so. Well, already we've seen more points scored by the side losing in this game. Oh, what a pass to Zach Berger than we did in that game between the Lions and the Sharks. Took about 60 minutes before the Sharks started to find their rhythm. Now, good contest, and the breakdown penalty, though, goes the way of the Bulls, and a double blow of the whistle and a yellow card for the Western Province. I was hoping the Wallabies would win that game. Kind of sad now. I wanted to see it decided too. I feel like it would have been great for the series to see it go 1-1. Right, Zane Davids gets himself a yellow card, but unlike in the sevens, this will not be 2 minutes. This will be the full 10 for the captain of the Western Province. Not quite leading from the front. The stage of the match, the line should have towards South Africa. See, it's 1-2-3 MS. They did last time. It's a 4-year cycle when they go to 3 different places. So they did in 2021. And then next time in 2029, they'll be going to New Zealand. Now, penalty does lead to the line out about 7 metres out from the line. Once again, going with that short option there for the Bulls. So number Cabo will be playing halfback. Thought about the pass to Pokomela, but hangs on to it. Again, pick and go. And that little bit closer to the try line. Bulls in a good position though. Cut it into Benny, had his jersey put over his head. No problem. What's up? Says Ria. They have had a bit of a shaky start to this game, WP, but they're not out of this contest either. Now, ball almost turning into a bit of a rolling maul there. Crawling towards the try line was Francois Klopper. 1 metre out, but now it is the try. It's Zach Berger who pops up with it. Just like that, the Bulls have been able to strike again. You're doing well at this point in time. We have got the Wallabies win, would have made the last game interesting. Says 1-2-3 MS. And Hamish, thanks for covering these South African games. Love getting a New Zealand perspective on our local rugby. How do you make a local South African rugby versus local New Zealand rugby, says the online business coach? That sounds like the type of question that could get me in trouble. But, I mean, they're both unique in their own way. I would say that New Zealand NPC lately, like Super Rugby's doing very well. But the NPC is normally the competition that some people don't watch, even though I think that there's some very entertaining games in there. It's a little bit similar to the Currie Cup, in regards of they weren't showing it here in New Zealand for quite some time. But now, lining up this kick for Buta Chamberlain, and does manage to get it over, now making the score up to 14 points to the 3. So a hectic start to this game, and both sides getting the points on the board. At the moment, that game between South Africa and the Black Ferns, a little bit of a plot twist here. South Africa leading 7 points to 5. Where can I watch live? DSTV would be your best bet for this contest. Currently 8.5 minutes down. Will be kicked off again here by the Western Province, going high with it is Kyle Smith. And also we have there Percy Montgomery. Says a doctor there. Another penalty, this time going the way of the Western Province. That is for knocking it on and then into an accidental offside position. Wasn't that ref Italian? If you're talking about the British and Irish Lions one, then yes, he was. Andrea Piardi. He's done quite a few games of the URC. Some people get very nervous when they see that man's name being in charge of a game. I just said it there that he had to play it as he was in front, but there was just no time to be able to react. Hamish makes a point. If Currie Cup teams played NPC teams, says 1-2-3 MS, I'd have no idea how that go, to be honest. Because it also depends. Are the Currie Cup sides and the NPC sides with their international players, or is it outside of the international guys? Because there's some pretty handy looking sides in the NPC at the moment in terms of those squads that have been named. One moment. I will go like this. I actually saved the lineups or the squads for the NPC somewhere along the lines. But Now, WP actually going to be going for the extra 3 points here. And it's gone over. 6 points to 14 now. And it just seems like WP, they're happy with taking any points available at this point of the contest when they are struggling to get their hands on the ball consistently. And Bulls cannot catch the ball, says Eric, and that's working in their favour. I also wasn't sure. He was a bit controversial. He loves to chat. In fact, he talks more than most referees that I know to the players. Like, he will just have a conversation with them in the middle of the game. Now, down the field, kick down. But the Bulls have now got the ball as it didn't find touch from Western Province. Zach Berger going back across to the right-hand side. Finds it would be Yandre Rudolph. And that number 8 jersey. It's been a yellow card for a South African in the South Africa versus Black Ferns 15 game. I like chatty refs. It's Big Rig Joe. And now, Zach Berger back across to the right-hand side. I should mention that they are also still playing with the 14 here for the Western Province, but the ball is there for the Bulls. Pokomela with the quick hand, stolen there by the speedster. And this is going to be the try for Shilton Van Wyk after the mistake from the Bulls, looking to get the backline movement. The cutout pass over the top is unsuccessful. This one's going to be very high scoring by the looks of it. Just like that, 11 points to, why has it done that? Hang on, we can fix that. Hopefully, if we go like that, and like that, there we go. That's better. But great decision-making from Shilton Van Wyk to rush up. Of course, that is one of those ones that if you get it wrong, your team don't like you because you probably concede at the other end, but he is used to that from the sevens, knowing that your decisions have a big impact. And what a difference from the game earlier. So here's David. And also Nigel Owens was a blast, says Big Rig. And also 1,114 nil. What a game. Now that kick has gone over. And now makes the score 13 points to 14. We've had 27 points in the first about 12 minutes of this contest. That is what to expect of the Currie Cup. There can be high-scoring games all over the place. But Shilton Van Wyk, they weren't going to catch him when he started moving quickly. New Zealand have just scored up against South Africa as well, making the score now 10 points to 7 between those two teams. I see taken by Moose, who will go downfield. Now, around the halfway line out for the Bulls. And that fullback ran like the wind. Yeah, that's that sevens background. When you get the ball in any sort of space, you just go and hope for the best. And that is what he did there. I did manage to find those Bulls, or sorry, not the Bulls, but just the teams for the Bunnings NBC, but there are a lot of players to look through. I might do like a preview of the competition perhaps before the end of the week. In fact, I have to do it before Thursday because that is when the competition is going to be starting. But Zach Berger now trying to step around the big man, and Elof, who did have him handled and gets on the ball but loses out on the chance to get the turnover. And come on, Bulls, says Sakabula. And rock my cradle, baby. Bulls, come on. And Sloppy Bulls doing all the play. And now they only have a 1 point lead, says Eric. Yeah, this game probably a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be after the way that the Bulls started. But I also do think that that's down to the fact that the Western Province took their points. You know, those 6 extra makes a big difference. Now they're only the 1 point down. Nice kick, says Sakabuli, and nicely put into the corner. Now, will be the line out about 5 metres out from the line. Joe Funsale, he's already taken some deep breaths. I think he's struggling a little bit still with that knee injury that he did have a bit earlier on. Come on, Western Province, says Bradley. A nice kick, says Sakabula. Line outs at the moment sitting 4 and 5, or 4 from 5 for the Bulls. That now makes it 5 from 6 in the rolling maul. Starting to move again. This is going to be very dangerous. It's over the line. There's a grounding, and the Bulls fire straight back. There's not a lot of defence happening in this one at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. The teams are scoring for fun. Yes, try Fess and Intercept try Black Ferns XV. Our well-played Western Province says Gideon there. And us old folk talk about the 90s sometimes. Do you remember the 07 World Cup fairly well? Nah. actually don't remember a single thing about it, other than, of course, who won. But I went through a patch around the middle of my life, which makes me sound older, but yeah, I went through a patch where I didn't actually watch any rugby. So there's that little blank bit in the middle where I have no idea about. Others like Super Rugby, says Sakabola. Now, ready to line this one up, Buta Chamberlain. We're about 30 metres out from the try line. These games were like so. The Lions Sharks game is a bit dull, so let's go nuts. And a good kick again from Chamberlain there. Now making the score at 21 points to 13. And what we will do is we will go like this, and like this, and like that, like that. Now, currently 13 points to 21. After the 15 minutes have passed, nicely taken by the province, but there's a knock on. And Hamish, you're pretty awesome energy. See, here's Roof there, and Bullseye and Bulls Rampage back. See, here's Roof there too. Yeah, this game, I'll be honest, it feels like it's been longer than 16 minutes. But normally when it's a try-scoring fest, it normally flies by. It's a weird dynamic at the moment between these two sides, but I also do think because these games are normally closer, or maybe lower scoring when they play each other, like I've got the results from last year. One of the games was 30 points to 25. I was expecting a little bit more like that, but it looks like we're going to get the second game with about 84 points between the two sides instead. The North is South and South Africa Rugby as a major contest, says Gideon. And if local players play instead international and Currie, instead of international in games between NPC versus Currie, says 1, 2, 3 MS, I think that'd be competitive contests. Like both sides have got a bunch of talent from the younger levels. And I do think that that's where like a lot of those young guys would get the chance to really shine. Now an advantage going the way of the Bulls. Zach Berger passing across to the right-hand side. Now one more pass. Vantage has now finished. Letabelli with the ball in hand. Quick hands from the Bulls. Stedman Hans gets it. Now Stravino Jacobs passes. One more chance here for Immelman. And finally, Bulls want to kickoff because Western Province knocked, and that will be the penalty now to the Western Province. Just another little mistake made from the Bulls in the breakdown. Nice passing, Bulls. Feels long, Hamish, because you've been commentating for close on 2 hours. Although, to be fair, we did do a game before that Currie Cup match between the British and Irish Lions and Australia. We also covered that one on the channel. But yeah, I think that the clock flew by in that Currie Cup one at times last game. We're going to see it here, though, just pretty much falling straight into the arms of Cornell Scosson. So it was always going to be hard to rip him away from that. And Hamish, you've been going 8 hours. So as we've all kicked forward by the Western Force, bit of space, but picked up beautifully by Stravino Jacobs. Showed no sorts of pressure there when taking the ball. Buta Chamberlain now kicking it back downfield, goes through the hands of the Western Province fullback, Shilton Van Wyk, the try scoring. Shilton Van Wyk too, down towards the halfway line. Ball sits up steeply, bit of a tackle in the air there from Van Wyk. I'm surprised that wasn't an advantage. Now going back across to the right-hand side to let their belly up to the halfway line for the Bulls. Berger, cross again. Oh, short ball to Pokomela, looping around. Very nicely done by Rudolph. And it's stolen by the Western Province. Great hands, and now going down the wing. Oh no, Kieran Nokia has just done his hamstring or his calf or his knee or something. But he was clutching at that leg. That is not just a shame for the Western Province, but for the Blitzbox too. That looked bad for Kieran Nokia. Tried to go for the kick downfield, and I think something just pinged or snapped in his leg. So for now, the Western Province, they will be playing with 14 men on the field. Interception try coming. See, here's Roof there. And that leg just gave in. Yeah, it's going to be an ugly one to watch on the replay. I think he is still... Yeah, he's still down. He's not good to go. Unfortunately, big run from Kobus Elof. Now Morse. On off to the left-hand side again. Already 21 minutes through this contest. And the time is absolutely flying now as these two sides start to find a bit more space on the field. I said there, a big clean out. It won't be the turnover now, moving around with a nice step from Funsale. I'll be right back feeding my face, says Blues Nate. And there's someone from my school playing in the Bulls today, says Aiden. What is his name? Aiden, do let me know. I've got a couple young players in the mix. Viota Chamberlain. Now going off to the left-hand side, Stedman Hans. Tackled well in the middle of the park by Marcus. Now Stravino Jacobs has to play halfback. Still the 8 points difference between these two teams. Pokomela with another step as he's driven backwards. Pick and go. Quite the biggest player to be attempting that one was Chris Smith. And also Sean Skurman. Pretoria Boys High School coming off the bench in this game, isn't he? For this contest, hopefully he does extremely well. Joe Funsale had a bit of an injury earlier on, so we could see that change made earlier rather than later. Any Western Province supporters, because everyone seems for the Bulls says 1-2-3 MS. And hi guys, says Sword in there. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Both men going up for the ball and no one getting a hand on it. Goes back now for the Western Province down the wing. Let's get driven into touch. Ball is still in play. And they will go back now. In fact, the foot was on the sideline. I think Nokia throughout that whole time was still down on the near side of the field. Western Province is alive. Says Gideon there. Or Gideon, sorry. Right. Zach Berger's gone down with a bit of an injury. I think that's for a bit of a shot that he put in. We see there Makate has made his way on for Nokia, which is a massive shame because he is an outstanding player. He's good in the breakdown as well as with that pace. I mean, hopefully nothing too serious for him in there. We have got there, they're having a ping pong battle. Says Roof, and I'm a Western Province supporter, says Rhea. And there as well, they're just going to show the replay. His foot was actually out for that one, so that is where the line out came from. And okay, Burger King Whopper. Yes, I don't think many Burger Kings would be open here in New Zealand. We're currently sitting 3:38 a.m. Ready for this line out here for the Bulls. I play for the Bulls, says Sword. Do you play for them currently? Because if so, I'd assume you're on the bench. Seeing as you've got your phone, I don't think many of them have sent messages out there on the park. Now 8 minutes left. Or sorry, not 8 minutes left. 8 points separating. What a game so far. Yeah, it's been so fast-paced. And just an electric tempo for these two sides. Ready to throw it in now for the Bulls. Funsale goes to the front, not contested. Not very straight either, but it is going to be play on another cover. Moving up to the halfway line. Kicked him behind Zach Berger. The game is 100-900. What? And Bulls rushing ahead. Oh, penalty going to go against the Vodacom Bulls. I believe that is against Marvin Ori there. I think that was for being a little bit offside at the time of Zach Berger's kick. Western Province, they have a chance to go for the post, but instead it does look like they are eyeing up the sideline. And thanks, Roof says rear. Needing a big kick towards the corner here for Kyle Smith. Just to make sure that it goes out, which it does. We'll be about 25 metres out from the try line now with the rolling ball chance. We'll see it now. Yeah, just times it wrong. Marvin Ori by half an inch in terms of that timing. I actually have a perfect picture background, says Gideon. And there's a very nice view from the Cape Town Stadium. It does look like quite a few people have made the trip be in the stands for this matchup. Hopefully we get an attendance number a bit later on. And now another cover just out from the try line. Chamberlain trying to step his way, not just around the Western Province forwards, but also his own. I think that maybe Rudolph got in his way slightly. That ball was knocked on, I thought, by the Bulls, but it becomes a penalty for them there. Maybe they're saying it was stripped away first. Watch South African team is going to play well in the championship this coming season. Are you talking about the URC? Because if you are, I do think that the Bulls, actually, I might say that the Sharks will surprise a few people, even though this game of the Currie Cup, of course, is not something to go off. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the Bulls will adjust with the new coach. So it wouldn't surprise me if they take one season to find their rhythm and then next season they actually do much better. Add a bit of a cableway on Table Mountain. So here's Ruth. Yeah, just taken out. Taken on the ground. So the Bulls have got themselves now the penalty, nicely taken by Junior Pokomela. 67% for the possession in favour of the Bulls at this point of the match. So they have been very persistent with getting that ball in hand. Now backline movement, Chamberlain, short ball to Stedman Hans. That was almost a tip tackle on him. Luckily did land safely, but another penalty going against the Western Province. I've already had a yellow card. They're getting another one. And who is that going to be? That will be Gary Porter, who makes his way off. Ahoy Kiwi lad, says JC Brits. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And Penix under pressure. I see now why Jake did not rate him. Says Eric. And also Hamish is a closet Western Province supporter. Says 123 MS. I'm not too sure about that. But fun sale. Right, I think it is just for dragging down that Western Province or that Bulls maul. But now another 10 minutes where they will be playing with 14 on the field. How did you say my name's in an Afrikaans accent? I think it's just from saying so many names from these streams that I've kind of got used to it. But yeah, hopefully I didn't say it too badly. Now moving up, number cover. Sitting 20 metres out from the line for the Bulls here. They have to make the most of that man advantage. For the next 9 or so minutes, Berger going back across there to Smith in the 12 jersey. Oh, Berger trying to milk the penalty, and he will get it from the referee. Some refs do decide against giving those ones, but here comes Shotton Fun Vake. They'll go back for the penalty. But this is normally when we'll see a ref say, hey, halfback, if you do that again, I'm not going to give you the penalty. Irish perfect pronounced. And also, I live in Cape Town for 12 years and left 1995. Still miss Cape Town big time. And Jake is a great coach, but has mouth. Not everyone like that. Says 123 MS. Now Chamberlain will be able to kick this one towards the sideline. Anyone who was after an update for the Black Ferns versus South Africa game, it's actually pretty close at the moment. I should mention it as Black Ferns XV, sorry, but 15 points to 12 in favour of the Black Ferns. Maria, you must come back, says Roof there. And now a line-out chance for the Bulls again. They've turned down a lot of threes, something that has been a very different mindset compared to what we saw from the Western Province. Line-out throw for Joe Funsale. They have turned down 4 kickable threes in this contest already. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another one relatively soon because there is another penalty advantage going against the Western Province. Backline movement. Ball's loose. Goes back and they'll go for the penalty again. Double blow. Well, surely not another yellow. They've already had 2, ref. Be a little bit nicer, eh? We need to see some sort of team on the field for the province. Oh, he's checking. I think he's going to the pocket. Yes, he is. He's got rid of Alex Groves. So now no locks on the field for the Western Province for the next 8 minutes. And Bushett Bulls says, Roof, it's a late collapse, they have said. The player will go to the bin. Oh, that man's not happy at the referee. Now it's going to be the scrum called, as they probably should, because there's no options in the locking duo. When was the last time we've seen 2 locks sent off the field for the same team at the same time? It's got to be a little while, wouldn't it? And also we have got there also Tulvalk is a beautiful town. Area, beautiful city, says Gideon, uncontested scrums. I don't think so. But the referee's saying, let's go. They've got 6 men in their scrum. How do you even pack down without 2 locks? I think they're trying to work that out. They're asking whether or not they need another back to come in for the scrum. The ref's saying, get in there. This is going to be a really dangerous scrum for the Western Province, who are going to have just the 6 men. I think one of the half... Oh, someone's about to join the scrum. Yep, setting it down. It will be Marcus there, but they're getting driven backwards, as they will when they've only got 6 men on the field, picking it up and putting it down, and the try is scored by the Bulls. But the yellow cards really adding up now for the Western Province. They had absolutely no clue what to do at that line out. It is not often, like I said, that you have 2 locks missing or even 2 forwards. But there's another one now for the Bulls. I say in a beautiful, or stay in a beautiful secluded valley, says Gideon there. And with the Bulls, says Chantel, and discipline, please, Western Province. I don't think uncontested with no front row players, says Eric. Yeah, they almost had no second row players. In that case, now Bota Chamberlain, I should say, sorry. Lining up this kick. He's had a good day off the tee so far. And that good day's going to continue, sitting now 28-13. This is in front of the home Western Province crowd as well, so they will not be happy with what they are seeing. That's insane, Western Province, says Ruth. And there as well. And also, come on, Western Province, says Gideon. Now 31 minutes through. This time the try coming for Yandre Rudolph, and number 8 jersey. In fact, it's been a good round to be a number 8 in these Currie Cup games. We've actually seen quite a few standout performers across the board. We've got the super sticker from Nate Greatly. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much for your generosity. Oh, nicely taken by Stedman Hans. The best thing about these live streams for the Currie Cup at this hour is it's not far away from breakfast. So that's one positive. And OA Province says rare. And bonus point in the pocket, not too bad. Yeah, already the bonus point in play for the Bulls. Western Province would need 3 more to get a bonus point of their own. And also, of course, within 7, that other option. Kick downfield from Stravino Jacobs. Now Shitton Fun Vake kicks it high, chases after it. We've already seen one of the Sevens players dropping down. Another one has been sent to the bin. And then the other one scored the try. So all very heavily involved in different parts of this game. Taking it the back for Kyle Smith. Does get it downfield into touch. Actually, a very strong kick there for the youngster. But now, another 4.5 minutes remaining of the first yellow card. 6 minutes remaining of the second. Both locks off the field currently. Gary Porter as well as Alex Groves. And don't worry, Western Province fans, second half will be another ref. Helping you like this one, helping the Bulls, says Eric. Just joined still first half, certainly is 32 minutes through. In this contest, we have seen 7 mauls from the Bulls and 0 from the Western Province. Ball dropped by Stedman Hans. It goes backwards again. On the step there for Katlego Letebelli. Pick and go from the latest try scorer for the Bulls, Zach Berger. Now, another step, Junior Porco Mela using some power there. Pick and go, Berger. Back across to Chamberlain, Stedman the Hans. Can't free it up for Ori on the outside. And all the time that the Bulls are attacking here, it uses up that little bit more of the yellow card. That's crazy, says Ruth. And now kicked across field. Not quite taken cleanly by Stravino Jacobs, and it will now be the scrum. Now 7 minutes left. The first half, I think the referee just having a little bit of a conversation because, of course, we've got to remember with the knock on, it means that the Western Province actually have the scrum feed. So I would think, are they allowed to, they'll be allowed to make a change here, wouldn't they? Of bringing a lock on to the field to replace someone else in general play. Also, Scudder into Benny now down with a bit of an injury too. And no current box in these games are there, says Roger. Not at this point. Xbox, not the console, but the ex-Springbok players, there are a few. For instance, in this forward pack for the Bulls, they have got Marvin Ori. Just having a little bit of a drink there for Scudder into Benny. But yeah, I don't know what actually happens here, whether or not they are going to go for just that quick-fire scrum in and out. Well, with 6 men, that's going to be tricky to do. Bulls, you have 2 overlaps. Why play inside, says Eric. Right, it looks like Scudder into Benny is able to continue in this contest. We are just waiting to hear what the plan is for the Province scrum. I do see that one of the coaches is on his walkie-talkie. Okay, they are just saying, by the looks of it, they're just going to go with the 6, with maybe a forward or a back becoming a forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, they've got 7 because they've put it back in that scrum by the looks of it here, but it looks like a bit of a muddled mess here for the scrum of the Western Province. Yeah, so Luke Berger, the number 13, is now packing down on the side of the scrum. Did anyone think the Box should play Fiji, Samoa, or Tonga? I mean, I'd like to see them play them at some point. I don't know whether or not they'd do it actively each year. Oh, that ball came out the same window, so will be another scrum URC prediction, says Bokang, but hard to tell this early on, definitely because of all the injuries we've already seen in just the Currie Cup first round. But I once again think we're going to see a South African side right up there, if not maybe 2. Send on the Brock Harris, says Eric there. I think they need more locks though, or maybe Brock would like to play in the locking duo, something I don't think he ever got the chance to do. It'd be great if the Box would play the Islands, says Chantel. Now, looks like Moose just having a conversation with the referee. There's been much confusion, but one thing is for sure, they won't want another yellow card for either of their locks when they make their way back on, or else it will lead to even more confusion for the teams. But going off to the right-hand side now. Oh, big shot on Marcus. In the middle of the field, 14 metres out. Moose going away to the short side, finds Satoli for one of his first carries. Harris retired last season. He did. But we've seen many players make their way out of retirement before when needed. They've been told to use it once more. Moose going high, Cornell Scosson. Also, if you couldn't tell, it was a joke about Harris playing as a lock. I feel like I have to clarify just in case. But now, going back across, Moose goes to Satoli. Oh, that ball. First knock on by the Bulls. Then knocked on by Western Province, so there will be another scrum 35 minutes in. And I am back, says 1, and 1, 2, 3, it will be great, says Gideon there. And also, it'd be great if the Box would play the Islands. Would that be in South Africa, though, or would you be willing to go to, you know, Fiji and Samoa to be able to play them instead? 1 minute left on the clock. 2 minutes 30 for the second yellow card. 3 handling errors so far coming from the Bulls. Full field position now, about sitting 30 metres out from the Bulls line. And the game is so far not good for Western Province. There's 1. You see, before those yellow cards, they actually didn't look too bad. They had some good moments out there on the field. But sadly, since then, we've seen nowhere near the consistency that the province would have liked. But that's a big shot again coming in on Marcus. Loose ball, but goes back for the penalty. This will be crucial for the Western Province now, because this can use up a good minute on the clock of their 2 yellow cards. I think that was the point at the post there for Moose. And discipline Western Province is strong and sweet like Hamish, says Ruth. And Hamish, any of the Islands would be awesome, says Gideon there. Okay, I think they were just asking whether or not there was a deliberate knockdown in that case, but it will be Kyle Smith. And ready to use up a bit more time on the clock. We're going to see the replay here. Yeah, well, he just slaps it out of his hands, doesn't he? From Chris Smith. And it's going to be a yellow card now for the Bulls. They've seen the replay, and they have gone, that is worthy. So another player will make his way off the field in this game. WP beer to win, because they have the 5 games, have they won only 1? Says 1 there. Love you, man, says Arno. Do appreciate you being here. The Bulls in there too, but that kick has gone over. Clock now ticking up to the 38 minutes through in this matchup, and the score gets that little bit closer with it sitting 16 points to 28. It isn't earning a bonus point here for the Western Province currently, but it's still keeping them just a little bit in the game. Plus, like I mentioned, with the amount of yellow cards you need to use up that time, ref has yellow card fever. Well, originally it didn't seem like he was going to give one to the Bulls player. But then I guess the replay showed that it was a bit worse than he first anticipated. It's going to be kicked off. Province knocking it on. The Bulls will have the ball back in their grass. Stedman Hans dragged down by Zane Davids as well as Kobus Elof. Pick and go now for Pukomela. And Italy once beat the Box, 20 points to 18 in 2016, says Big Rig Joe. And interesting that the Black Ferns XV is on Sky and Rugby Pass TV in New Zealand. Says, no, Mum, yeah, a little bit of a... Well, I don't know whether or not that's a mistake that they've made or whether they just didn't realise, because I know that normally Rugby Pass TV, it's available around the world outside of New Zealand for certain matches. Zach Berger with the pick and go, reaches out and gets another try in this contest. That is try number 2 for himself and try number 5 for the Bulls now. And Boxers VD in England at Wembley. Says 123 MS. It was a really good game from memory, wasn't it? And we have got their Big Rig. The Alistair days are back to constant jet lag. We play the Islands, says Ben. Yeah, see, that's one slight downside. So if it was going to be in the July internationals or something like that, it would have to be like all of the games over there rather than going for, only 1 or 2 and then ending up somewhere else. I wonder if it's because the official Black Ferns team, or if it isn't the official, that actually could be it. Perhaps the fact that since it's just the Black Ferns XV, 4 from 4 for Botta Chamberlain. Very good day off the kicking tee. Trying to use up as many seconds as he can because now the Western Province actually do have the man advantage. But the kick is good once more. 35 points to 16. There we go. That is the updated score. Just the 30 seconds remaining of this half. Bull Terriers, and also over there the Bulls there from Ruth. They're slamming the turf hard there. Whereas Dion, when you need him, unfortunately he also got that serious injury, didn't he, Dion Foree, a little while ago. In fact, there were a lot of Stormers guys, the veterans who were suffering injuries. Now kicked off, trying to slap that one back was the big man Alex Groves, but never got a hand to it. Now breaking run there for Nawakaba, the captain. Passes it off. Nice step coming in from Henry Immelman. Zach Berger back across to the right, finds Chamberlain. Skip pass over the top. And for that next pass was Manjezi. Pick and go. There is the halftime siren sounding. This game is not over yet. Berger. Back across there to Marvin Ori. Chamberlain stepping again in the middle of the field. Thought about the offload. Won't quite do it. Wonder if Dion will play again. I honestly don't think he will. I think that he was already close to that retirement stage. And then that last injury, I think he just can't risk it. Like, of course he has the love of the game. But, at some point they just add up. Looks like the Bulls will actually opt for the 3 points here to end out this first half. They have had a substantial amount of points already throughout this matchup. And I would say that Botta Chamberlain shouldn't have too many troubles with getting this kick over. It's 22 metres out. Probably his easiest kick of the day. And Province ain't got the firepower. Says Deacon and Bulls is a bad team. I think you're saying they're from Zwan, although they've got 35 points already. And this one, I know my stream is very slow. But how did the score get to this, says Robert? I think the best way of saying it is just that the Bulls continued the early onslaught. Like, yes, the Western Province were able to take 3 pointers. Also, the extra double in the yellow card department did not help. But 16 points to 38 at halftime here. And there we go. The Bulls back are brutal, says Eric. And Botta Chamberlain kicking well. Perfect. Yeah, he's 5 from 5 and hasn't even looked like missing one at this stage. And go and lead into halftime. Or good lead, sorry, going into halftime. And also we have Dion is most likely retired. And the Bulls back are brutal. Yeah, they've done some great work in the breakdown. I will mention there is another game taking place at the moment. The Black Ferns XV taking on South Africa. Currently an 8 points difference between those two sides in favour of New Zealand. But still time to play. And that exciting matchup. Now, we wait for the second half. So we will show you guys the bench in this game, ladies and gents. Tristan Lates, still to make his way onto the field. They actually brought on Makata rather than going with Lades in the replacement of Nokia. We see Ngobeni there, Lembrick in the number 20 jersey, and also some handy enough replacements in the front row later on for the province. The reason I mentioned about that front row, though, is because they already have multiple subs, or not multiple subs, but multiple yellow cards. So that front row would have been getting tired out when playing up against an 8-man pack with only the 6, the Bulls. They've got some handy options off the bench. Jaco Grobela, Erasmus is there, Nel van Niekerk, and then also Ferreira as the number 23. Do let me know your in-score predictions, ladies and gents. These are the upcoming games of the Currie Cup that will be taking place. Now, I will mention these are all in New Zealand time, so the easiest way to convert that is to just look at it as the previous day. So, for instance, this one is a Friday, and then add 2 hours to 5 a.m. and make it a PM, so that's 7 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. That next game between the Golden Lions and the Province will be taking place at 3 p.m. South African time on Saturday, and then that game up against the Bulls and the Sharks. That will be an interesting one because this Bulls side has played extremely well throughout this game, and I just don't see a way that they can turn it around so quickly in just 1 week. The Bulls, though, I think they're going to be in a very good place, and they will be thoroughly excited to get into that next match up against the Sharks. Griquas, they are going to be playing up against the Boland Cavaliers, and then, of course, that one after that is the next week that's taken place. As well as Ackerman, coach of the URC Bulls and Currie Cup team. I know he's coach of the Bulls. I'm not sure about the Currie Cup team. If I'm honest, I assume that would carry over to that as well, or maybe he comes in later on. And Jake should go Cheetahs, help win the Challenge Cup, says 123 MS. And walking up to Spa, I need chips and chocolate, says Ruth in there as well. What we will quickly do is we will go like that. And like this as well. No surprise at all is the fact that the Bulls are favourites in this match. They have got themselves a 22-point lead, which could be quite handy. And I do think that those extra points, those 3 at the end of the half, that will very much discourage this Western Province team, as they are going to need 3 converted tries and something to be able to get it. Meet two lovely young ladies dressed in Xmas stuff. Are they having Xmas in July? Well, there you go. How long is halftime? Normally about 10 to 12 minutes, somewhere around there. And we have got there as well. I think Jake should take a break from rugby. He hasn't been looking good physically the last couple of years, says Sakabula. And good idea, Roof. Text Bar, are we so good right now? And back in 10, says Mike. So we will see a little bit later on. What I'm quickly going to do is I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to add an extra split to the coverage that I'm watching. What is that? That's the Tour de France. That wasn't the one that I was after. I should mention after the live stream, ladies and gents, we are also going to have a guest on the channel, so be sure. In fact, we're going to have 2 popping in for a little bit of a summary of what we've seen so far throughout these matches. We'll go like that, and we'll go like that as well. And we go like that. There we go. But second half, crucial to be able to fire back. Tex, bloody auto correct, says Chantel. Yes, nice Ruth. And there as well. And back in 10. And yeah, I'm excited for this Currie Cup. I know that the Bunnings NPC is coming back tomorrow. My brain switched off for a second there, ladies and gents. I will mention it's currently 4:05 a.m. here in New Zealand, but we are still trying our best to stay wide awake for these contests. We have got there as well. We had our annual Christmas and Winter Festival last weekend in June. Around 5,000 visitors. That is huge. So is it quite common to do the mid-year Christmas? Like, as in just like to do the celebratory side of things? And don't mean to sound like a Durban fanboy, but it looked like Christmas lights glittering all over the city tonight from on top of the hill in the cold. And also we were there, Bulls looking dangerous even with the B team. So yeah, as LFG, yeah, pretty handy side to have put out on the park. That's the thing, Western Province, if you take away the sevens guys, they do have a few more gaps in their game. And Jake hasn't coached in years, just sat in his office leaving the team to the other coaches, and he still picked the team without knowing what's going on. Good riddance for giving him the boot. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go this year because, you know, there are guys that maybe didn't get as much time as they would have liked. But also at the same time, I feel like, you know, it's going to take time with the new coach. It's not going to happen overnight. Like, that's the thing. They still made it to the finals, though. So, you know, that is a little bit of pressure on the new man to take over the role and do well pretty much from the get-go. But, yeah, it could take a little bit of time to get that worked out. But currently, the statistics for that first half, we saw 3 handling errors from the Bulls compared to the 1 of the Western Province. We saw 15 tackles missed by the Province, which hurts them drastically in this game. Also, those 8 penalties, which led to 2 yellow cards throughout them as well. The Province have not won a line-out. 0 from 3, whereas 10 from 10 for the Bulls. And apparently they've only had to make 11 tackles. Surely that can't be right in the statistic department. Possession at the moment, 69% for the Bulls in this game. Territory, 56. And the Western Province haven't reached 5 phases as of yet in this game, nor have they visited the opposition 22 more than once. As we normally get our first snowball that time of year, the festival is running since late 90s. We also did have our cable stolen this morning and no electricity today. Says Goal. And mate, how far south in New Zealand really can you take a ship to Antarctica as we can do it in Argentina? I think that they do have somewhere that you can go down to Antarctica from. But I'm not really schooled up on all the information about it. But yeah, I think there's some sort of tour thing that you can do and it launches out of New Zealand. I think down south. I don't think it starts at Stewart Island. I think it's north of there, though. That they do pick you up. Now, second half. A couple of minutes away. Do let me know if you think that the Western Province have got a bit of a comeback in them, although it is going to take, like I said, a monumental one to be able to turn this game around after the start that we've seen. A pretty dominant looking one. And I just got here. How are you? I'm doing very well. Hope you are doing well too. Apparently the third live stream that we have had of the day, but we have got a little bit more to come after this as we are going to have Vic and Vern on for a bit of a chat about these two contests. But yeah, I don't think this one has lived up to the expectations. In terms of like the Western Province looked like they were in for a good start, and then it just kind of disappeared for them in the second, which I think is quite brutal for this Western Province side. Just those 2 yellow cards hurt them badly. South Africa Rugby Union should be the other 4 teams find international competition maybe. For the Super 12, I think that is. Or sorry, Super Rugby, Prem or the MLR. And yeah, I know that you also mentioned about the Argentina competition too, or like the South America. So, maybe. We go like this. And we go like that as well. Here we go. Now getting ready to kick this one off, hopefully within the next 5 or so minutes. I always run out of things to talk about at halftime for these ones, only because we only get to see the stats for a brief amount of time, and then that's about it. We could talk about who were the best players out there on the field, though. I do think that Nabakaba alongside Junior Pokamela both did a great job in the loose forward trio, and actually Yandre Rudolph for that matter too. And the back line, we saw Chamberlain kicking perfectly off the tee. Zach Berger getting himself the 2 tries. Stedman Hans, he's been busy in that number 13 jersey. And then for the Western Province, their best player, you probably give it to Shilton van Wyk. But honestly, no one has hugely stepped up as of yet for this team. And Hamish, go, or name one current professional tennis player, go. Does Novak Djokovic still play? Hopefully. I think he does, doesn't he? I might have snuck that one. Please don't say name another one, because or else I'll be in trouble. I can name you a few golfers from current times, but tennis, I have no idea. Unfortunately, at the moment, you win. Says cool story. Just showing the advertisement for the Bunnings NPC and the Farah Palmer Cup coming back here in New Zealand. Steffi Graf, no idea who that is. Boris Becker, no idea who that is. Emma Raducano, she's Australian? Maybe. If that's her, then I know who that is. News won't ever shut up about her. Says Big Rig Joe. And also he does still play. Pete, no idea. Yeah, I don't know a lot about tennis. Billie Jean King, I know he doesn't still play because I think he's more my mum's era of tennis. See, I should know a bit more about tennis because my mum was a local tennis champion. Fun fact. There you go, a little bit of fun there. But also, I remember playing tennis back at school for physical education, and we were playing on the concrete courts, and it was a hot day, and I was in bare feet, and I remember getting a blister the size of my big toe on the underneath of that big toe, and it was brutal. As soon as that thing popped, she was a painful experience. So that was when I learned tennis players wear shoes, as they should. But that's my story. Now we're into the second half, ladies and gentlemen. Western Province to kick this one off from left to right, and we are back underway for what will hopefully be just as entertaining of a second half. What we will do is we'll go like that, we'll go like this, and like that. There we go. We're back underway. Martini, no idea who that is. I like Emma, but not because of her tennis. And I need to stop drinking tonight, says Fleshin. Andre Agassi. I haven't watched a game of tennis in a long time. I also, we once got told we should try and do commentary on tennis, but I guess it's very hard to do the radio style commentary without hearing the sound of the ball and the of the players. Sorry, anyone who's got me on speaker. I was imitating tennis and nothing else. Oh, into Benny, knocking that ball on, and the penalty goes the way of the Bulls for playing it on the ground against Gary Porter. But yeah, I feel like if you describe, you got your forehand and your backhand and your drop shot and all that, but after a while, you'd feel like you were saying the same thing over and over again. But maybe one day we'll do a tennis watch-along, just for fun. I swear the girls do that intentionally in tennis. I think the guys do it intentionally too. They love letting out the moans. Some are too scared to let them out in other assets of their life, so tennis court's the way to do it. That was Monica Salas, says Mike. Did you just take the moan that I did and literally find a specific tennis player that it sounded like? And girls in UFC/martial arts don't scream like that when they throw hands. Some of them do a bit of grunting though. They get a bit of they're kind of more of a That's not quite what they sounded like. That sounded like you stood on a cat's tail. Still forcing Scudder to play as a crime against humanity. So here's Eric there. And now the ball is available for the Bulls. They will go away to the left-hand side. It was her. That's what she was known for, says Mike. Yeah, but it's not so sexual, says Big Rig Joe. We should do cricket commentary. We used to, until we started getting copyright strikes left, right, and centre from doing them. So that was kind of the off-putting factor. I used to do probably just as much cricket as I did for the rugby side of things. We were doing test matches, full days of sitting now. I would like to do the Ashes again. That is something that hopefully I will be able to make happen. Kick downfield from Moose. Now, taken well. I wanted to do the World Test Championship final, but I was worried I'd get struck down because I would have loved to call that one when the Proteas got themselves the win. How do you get copyright strikes in commentary? I ask myself that every day. But pretty much what happens is they either strike you down because they think you're showing the game. They either strike you down because they don't want you talking about it and instead want people to go to their broadcast, or we also have it where other YouTube channels strike you down so that they're the only one that people go and watch. So it's a rough world out there in the talking side of YouTube. Now under the advantage for the Western Province, nice sling and pass. And across field, and this is where they do need another try, at least one anyway. All ball's gone forward, and it's knocked on, was it? By the Western Province, ball goes back. I would love to hear a cricket commentary stream by you, says Lily B. We had quite a few in the past that we ended up doing on the channel. We actually got to do the West Indies versus Australia. That historic game where the Windies managed to pull off the massive win on Australian soil. I actually have a video of that I'd highly recommend checking out if you want to see how excited we got about that one. Does Province have a man advantage? Not that it will help them. They're playing pretty poor. They actually do, yeah. For another 2 minutes or so, they will have the man advantage, but so far they have not used it throughout this game, unfortunately. They just have been far from their best in this contest. McEnroe, that's a name from tennis, isn't it? Maybe. I think. Right, they are making another change here for another player injury, I think. Oh, Moose has got a nasty eye at the moment. It looks like maybe got a cut just below it. You see there, Andre Rudolph still sitting down here. Another cover just going over to him to have a bit of a chat with the medics. Oh, it might have been an eyeball there for Yandre Rudolph. How old is Yandre Rudolph? He looks like he could be 58. But I assume he's not. He'd have to be like, what, late 30s? Hopefully I haven't just completely offended the bloke. I'm going to have to look it up now so that I don't feel bad. Yandre. Oh, doesn't start with a K. Missed the button. Yandre. No, it still has a K somehow. There we go. Yandre Rudolph. How old is this man? Oh. Scrum feed for Zach Berger. Do you cover the IPL? I did do one game of the IPL one time in the past. But that was all. A cheese and onion or smoked beef crisps. Says Roof there. Now big fend. Or sorry, not big fend. Big scrum coming there from the Bulls. Berger with the short ball to Stravino Jacobs, who runs it forward. The ball is knocked on by Rudolph. And they'll go back for another advantage in favour of the Bulls. Cadbury Whole Nut, also great. Smoked beef. Says 123 MS. And most of these tennis players mentioned in chat are retired. Says Lilia B. See, I can name a few retired players. Andy Murray, Roger Federer. Did I say a few? I meant two. You know, that's about as far as I go, actually. The Williamses, the female Serena and Venus. They did some tennis in their time. It's about as far as I go, really. So I've got enough for a doubles match. Now Joe Funsail, ready to throw it in. Just got back from the corner shop, get a text bar and some jelly tots and tomato big corn bites. You're a trendsetter, says Chantel. I hope Western Province don't smoke the beef. Says 123 MS. Now big run forward here from the Province's number 12 and Damian Marcus. Now driven almost into touch there, but Makata, ow, I just bit my tongue. Did very well to be able to keep that ball alive. Oh, knock on there again from the Province. Handling's just been poor throughout this game. Junior Pokomela. Didn't Will Smith make a movie about him? Yeah, he was in it, wasn't he? Was he the dad of the Williamses? And has New Zealand produced some tennis players of night? We've had one guy who did all right, didn't we? Or was it one female who did all right? I don't actually know a huge amount of the New Zealand tennis players. Rafael Nadal, says Lilia there. And Venus won a match the other day at 45. Says the 1-2-3. Now Moose, back across to the right Province. Have possession 40 metres out from the line. Attack and run from Smith now using their back line. It's opened up. And the try will be scored for Skorson. They're back in. Still a wee way away for the Western Province, but that is at least the 20 points on the board now. Oh, we all go like that and like that. There we go. I thought it was kind of funny. They were here, two of the greatest female athletes in history. Let's make a movie about their dad. Says Becker. Although, to be fair, like, of course, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't actually know any of the backstory around it, but you'd assume that the family had a bit of a play in their success in terms of, you know, helping them out. We have got there Anna Kurnikova. I have not heard of her. There's that Sharapova. She's a tennis player, and it sounds like a tennis player's name. A lot of late. Well, not of late, but some can argue that Cam Norris is actually a New Zealander and not British, says Lily B. But the kick has gone over, making the score now 23 points to 38 after the 48 minutes in this game. I think there's still a little bit of something left in this contest. They have not given up the Western Province. And they were never going to catch Cornell Scosson. Sharapova? Or Sarapova? Says Mike. I might have said that wrong. Does she have no H? Has Kevin remembered him? Now kick off here for Chamberlain again. The gas tanks will be wearing thin for these two sides for their first match of the season. Zane Davids, the captain, who has hardly touched the ball in this matchup. He did touch the seat for the 10 minutes with that yellow card. The third time that we have seen someone do so, although he was actually the first. He was a trendsetter. Now getting wrestled towards the sideline again for Marcus. They're trying to ragdoll him. Anna Pavlova. She was a ballerina, wasn't she? Was she the one who they invented the Pavlova after? Probably not. There's a different one. A little bit high there, the tackle from the Bulls, but it's going to be play on, and they have managed to steal this ball back. Stedman Hans now, and 23-38. Serge Chantel. Now, Zach Berger. Back across to Dylan Smith. If Province can score again next, then we'll have a bit of a contest. You don't know Anna Kornikova? Oh, actually. Oh, no, that was someone else. I was going to say, David the Mod had a female player for a long time as his thumbnail, or like his little picture. Yes, it was. I thought she was a figure skater. The Dancers of the Ice. Something that no one's ever probably called them. But maybe she was. I don't actually know, but I know that that's something to do with where the Pavlova came from. Now 30 minutes left as we've ticked over to the 50 gone. Sounds like another change is about to be made here for the Western Province. Tristan Lates. He will make his way on from the Springbok Sevens. Okay, that's actually going to be for Kyle Smith. Now, Zane and Angelo are relatives. I don't think so. I could be wrong though, but yeah, I don't think there's a relation there. Wayne Ferreira, also South African tennis player, and Johan Kriek, sorry. So here's Eric. Now ready to throw this ball into the scrum for Zach Berger. It's at least going to be 8 on 8 at scrums now. And a massive push there from the Western Province, but they get penalised for coming in sideways. He had red hair and freckles, says Ruth. And that one's going to be against Satorli there. 29 minutes left. If the Bulls score now, this game might just about be over. Earn the turn is the term that they are using there. Johan Kriek had the best thighs in those short shorts, says Ruth. And Wayne was great, says 123 MS. Kick's not taken 5 now for the Bulls. South Africa has a very good wheelchair tennis player currently. I've never seen wheelchair tennis, but now I want to. And all my questions that are coming, I want to ask, but I don't want them to sound offensive. Like, I'm going to ask one. Is it the same size court as regular tennis for the wheelchair tennis, or is it a slightly smaller one? Out of curiosity. And now Zach Berger going off to the right-hand side. They have to take brilliant multitasking too, to be fair. Zach Berger with the short ball. Kicks off. Says Chantel, that is close now for the Bulls. Pick and go, Klopper. He might have dropped that. Oh no, in fact, it's going to be held up and the goal line dropout for the Western Province. I don't see many rugby lads with red hair and freckles, says Big Rig. Yeah, other than Kitsoff, it's probably about the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. Held up, says Sakabula there. But now, going to be kicked off by Tristan Lates from his goal line. Same size courts. Oh, drop kick attempted from Chamberlain. It has hardly cleared the 10 metres above the ground. Have you seen blind cricket? I actually have. It's pretty impressive how they do that. Tristan Lay's beautiful run, but a massive shot coming in on Moose. I think I'm going to have to look up many things after this one, including not blind tennis. That would be very tricky to do, but probably a thing. But yeah, I'm going to have to look up wheelchair tennis. There'd be some annoying players to go up against, wouldn't there? Because they'd just be the ones who tap it. Just a little tap. Maybe there is rules against that, though. Now, off to the left, Tristan Lades. Ooh, little bit of a miscommunication there for the Western Province, but still in possession. Yeah, it impressed me when I first saw it, says Big Rig, and Big Tackle, all this tennis talk made me remember legend of Christian Cullen. Ran like a cheetah. Said Ben, yeah, he had pure pace, didn't he? Christian Cullen, loose ball, but they'll go back for another knock on. It's Big Irish Redhead. I no freckles because not too much sun in Ireland. Says cool story. But just knocking it on for Chris Smith. Playing a little bit of Fiend. That song was going around a lot in recent times. 55 minutes through. Now another scrum chance for the Bulls. In fact, no, sorry, for the Western Province. They aren't out of this game. One more try here makes it interesting. Any update of the other game? So at the moment in the other contest, it is 34-19 to the Black Ferns XV. So maybe not quite as close as some were hoping for in the second half, definitely because they were only separated by, I believe, 8 points at halftime. Right, ref just having a bit of a discussion with the two teams. Right, telling Scudder into Benny to get to the end of the mark. I'm not actually sure how hot it is for this game in Cape Town. I assume it would be relatively warm. Of course, evening game though, 6:30 p.m. local time. But now, Moose put the ball in for the Western Province. They've still got the change later on. We'll be able to make for him. Where they will be able to bring on Ngobeni. Now off to the left-hand side. Finding it on the outside. Makata, he's an absolute unit. Makata out on the wing. I don't know how much he weighs, but it's got to be a bit. Now Moose, missing the pass. Going in behind. A little bit of a miscommunication there for the Western Province backline. The Bulls having a nap in the second half. They have slowed down a lot. And I don't know whether or not that is because the Western Province now are starting to make much better decisions. Oh, that's a tip tackle. That was dumb from Lete Belly. The only thing that will save him is if he didn't quite land on his shoulder or head. But I wouldn't be surprised if they look at that, as I do think he took him above the horizontal. But Moose now, little kick in behind. And now 50-22. No, it's kicked down on the full. Where are they playing? Because not an Antol, so they are playing at Cape Town Stadium. Right, they're checking this one, are they? By the sounds of it, maybe. 13 Celsius. That's actually not too bad. It's 2 degrees here. And it feels every part of those 2 degrees. Here comes the Garcia Sakabola. Yeah, I think it was a dumb play from Latabelli. Might have got himself in a bit of trouble here. We do actually see the man who was tipped up on his head, or at least on his shoulder. He is making his way off the field due to a hand injury by the looks of it. But are we going to see something checked? It doesn't sound like it. I think it is going to be play on. So Latabelli maybe a bit lucky with that one. Now Vokozela trying to turn it into a maul, but coming through the middle was Marvin Ori. And they're not checking it, says Sakabola. Big shot from Junior Pokomele as well as Nabakaba. Working well together. And that loose forward trio. Big shot coming in now on Vokozela again. Vokozela, I should say. Oh, big bump off from Makata. That his jersey ripped almost off him by Francois Klopper. Now Zane Davids told to leave it alone there for the Bulls defence, and the advantage for not rolling away. The penalty goes their way, and a quick tap was not taken. Oh, a little bit of feistiness there from Zach Berger going after Moose. We have got the yes, but only in certain places. Says no mum for when it snows. Yeah, you got to be pretty high above sea level. There was one kid at our school who was in our year. How he kind of lived out in the random hills, which sounds weird to say, but like he was like 40, 50 minutes away from school. So he would get snow probably 10, maybe not 10 times, but probably 5 times a year, and he didn't have to come in for the snowy day, so everyone got jealous. But yeah, that's my random story that only had slight relevance. We had a few of those throughout today. Zane Davids, barnstorm and run for him. Now, Scudder into Benny, already taken off the field, but his replacement, Vukozela, has touched the ball maybe about 4 times, and another penalty going the way of the Bulls. Colton Durs is 20 degrees, says Sakabula. And always, absolutely, I lived in Pretoria as well. Reminded me a bit of England. Says cool story. We'll go like this, and like that as well. And now Chamberlain going to be able to kick this one towards the sideline. The facial expressions on point there from Vukozela too. Just not quite getting him out of there, and almost turned into a neck roll. Got to be careful. I'll take your word for it. I've never been to England, says Chantel. I'm just looking. Black Ferns score. 1 second. It did disappear for me for a second. But we should be good now. Hang on. I went on Sky on my phone and it didn't like me. But 34-19 is how it does sit. The moment in that Black Ferns XV versus South Africa fixture, now kicking in behind for the Bulls with Chamberlain. It's an awkward bounce. The Western Province not able to clean it up. Stedman Hans takes it. If that pass was backwards, Chamberlain would have had the try, but it is ruled as forward. And he throws the ball away out of absolute disgust for not being able to score it. The discipline has been questionable at best. Gosh, says Chantel. And we have got there Rudolph, such a valuable player on Currie Cup level. Yeah, he's been outstanding throughout this game, Andre Rudolph. And yeah, just going forward there from Stedman the Hans. Stephen Hartsey. I was going to say top 5 for man of the match at the moment, I would say. Although I do think that maybe Junior Pokomela, Rudolph's got to be up there. Nubba Clubber's had some good moments. Zach Berger and Chamberlain are both strong. I actually don't know who they'll give man of the match to. At the moment, I would say if Pokomela had scored, I'd say him. But they might actually go with Chamberlain just because he's kicked all of his kicks over. But then that is kind of his job as the goal kicker and shouldn't be seen as something that's crazy to do. So I don't know. Do let me know. Who would you guys give man of the match to out of the Bulls players? And of course, if there was a Western Province guy who did get it, I feel like... Marcus has been busy, hasn't he? Looks like now, once again, another little mistake there from the Western Province. Went a little bit too close to the sideline. I'm living in the centre of England, and it's 30 and humid as hell here. Unpopular opinion, I love the sound of bagpipes. I don't think that's unpopular. I think that the more you hear the bagpipes, the more they kind of grow on you and the appreciation for them. Because I was a bit the same. When people used to say, the bagpipes, the squealing ones. But, you hear them and they just sound good, don't they? They're just such a crisp old noise. There's a bloke nearby who once played them at the pub. And my auntie was working there. And he said he'd play another song if she danced. So she did a big jump in the air trying to do some Scottish dancing and blew her Achilles. She was out for 9 months. Don't know why I felt the need to tell that story, but it's kicked him behind. So she probably doesn't like bagpipes, I think was the gist of what I was saying, but most other people do. Scotland would love to have you, says David. I'd like to make a trip to Scotland at some point, I'd say. In the near future. But now Zane Davis looking for the steal. Now Water Chamberlain kicks it in behind, just playing territory at the moment, trying to frustrate this Western Province side who have to clean that ball up inside of his in-goal area. Oh no. Tristan Lade slammed down, took a nasty head knock there from Chris Smith. Kind of looks like if you touch an electric fence, what you'd think you'd look like. Oh, Chris Smith. It sounds mean, doesn't it? That poor Auntie Chantel. If they play well, the bagpipes are the best instrument on the planet, but I'm very biased. And we've got there the burger there from Roof, but the goal line dropout for Tristan Lades. Let's kick it downfield up to 63 minutes gone in this match. Any idea of the penalty count? Province must be sky high. I think at halftime it was 8-5. And I'd say now we're probably looking at about 12-10 against the Western Province. You know, we have got the laughing face, and Bull should not send on all the young players at once. Could backfire, says Eric. Now Stedman Hans trying to find his way through. 10 metres from the try line. A chance for the Bulls to try and seal this one. Now visit to the opposition, 22-12 for the Bulls compared to the 3 of the Western Province. Stravino Jacobs, nice cutout pass, finds Immelman. It's about 4 degrees in Cape Town. I know you need to visit Cymru. I could guide you through the language, says Fleshin. Well, surely that's something I should learn before going, right? Rather than getting myself in trouble while I'm there. And send the hot weather our way, please. Cold here, says Blues Nate, but the penalty does go against the Province again. Oh no, it's a try. I thought for a start he was just short, but I believe it is actually going to be Yandre Rudolph who does score the try for the Bulls. He probably, with that one, turns into the man of the match, honestly, from what he's been able to do. There we go. We will update that and have his try on the board. Just about 15 minutes remaining in this contest, ladies and gents. And thanks, David. That's a kind thing to say, says Chantel. And the Bullseye did the business today, says Roof. Yeah, the Bulls have looked strong. Like, yes, they weren't as lethal in the second half, but I also do think that was because they already know this one's in the bag, or at least they feel like it is. But now Chamberlain, ready to strike this ball. His hardest kick of the day, or at least somewhere near it. And he's got it over again. We got the Chamberlain. He is currently sitting 9 from 9? No, what's the maths? 8 from 8. There we go. Did it in the end. Of course, they took that 3 points near the start of the second half, or actually near the end of the first. No, we speak English, but you can switch. So here's Fleshin, and Rudolph equals man of the match. I'd say after that try, he's got to be. We have got there, I'm not wearing a shirt. Wait, what? I'm not wearing a shirt, but it's still pretty cold in Durban. So why don't you have a shirt on if it's cold? Surely you just go and put one on and then you're slightly warmer. You know? But now, the Bulls with the ball, it's like just problem solving, isn't it? And Bulls too good, not a good day for the coastal teams. And great kicking, says Lilia B. Now Tristan Lade showed a bit of his toe. He's got 2 men with him on the right, but ball on the inside. Beautifully done, but dragged down just short of the try line. I don't think there was a clear release from the Bulls, but they're going to win the penalty anyway. We have get there and might give us a bit of warm weather. It never lasted long, but it's definitely warmer here nowadays. Yeah, so you're in Australia, aren't you, Nate? So you're probably a little bit similar to us here in New Zealand. We're currently sitting 3 degrees. We've gone up 1. And it will continue to grow throughout the day to perhaps 10. The question is, why aren't you wearing a shirt? Says Lilia V. It is a good question. Unless maybe, well, it's not even that late. I was going to say maybe he's getting into his sleeping attire, because some people go shirtless for their sleeping, don't they? Well, some people go clothless. I'm not one of those people. Just getting over the ball. That might have been Zach Berger, was it? He's trying to get that man of the match too. I think both of them are right in the running at the moment. Berger, Chamberlain, and also Rudolph. Except the ladies, says Chantel. Oh, no one in South Africa wears a shirt in summer. I accept the ladies, says Chantal, sorry. And we have got there, which is warm for England. So here's Big Rig Joe, nicely taken now for the Western Province around the halfway line. Will be Lucanio Vokozela. Back across to the right. Still time on the clock for one last impact from the Western Province. The thing is, they've got 2 tries, so really they need 2 impacts, because if they can do that, they get a bonus point from this game. I missed almost everything, anything good from the newer lads. I would say if we're looking at guys who have stepped up in this game, I wouldn't say too many of the brand new players have been incredible. I think that it's the more experienced guys who have stepped up. You know, the likes of a Zach Berger. Chamberlain's been solid at 10. Saw a lot of Stedman Hans for the Bulls. Nabakaba as well as Junior Pokomele have both been great in the loose forward trio, but also Yandre Rudolph, the 31-year-old. He's been one of the standouts throughout this game. In terms of the Western Province, I'd say that Marcus has looked all right. In fact, he's impressed me in that number 12 jersey with his willingness to throw his body on the line. Shilton Van Wyk had a decent day from 15. We have got there Clip Drift. Brandy normally makes one go shirtless in the cold. Says Roger. Didn't someone's shirt come off in football one time and he wasn't able to put it back on, so he plays shirtless for a while? Maybe. I don't think I've seen that video. You have to sleep Stark bollocks. Says Fleshin. Is that like a rule, is it? Isn't there science behind it that apparently it's supposed to be better for you? But it's only better for you if you sleep in a house with no one else in it. That they aren't going to walk into your room. Now, so then about 38 metres out from the line, the Western Province again. Shifting away to the left-hand side. Heavily involved have been the replacement front rowers. Tristan Lades. Back across now to the youngster Marcus. Finds the pass away to Zane Davids with a bit of space. They have not given up trying at this point in time. There was a knock on. I'll go back for another scrum of him, 45 or 23-45. And FIFA made taking your shirt off a yellow card offence because of it. It came for spirit of the game. But really it was to appease sponsors. Says Big Rig. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Says Lilia B. Okay, for feeling a bit hot. At least Province are not giving up. Exactly right. They've actually looked like the better side in the second half. In some regards. Like, the Bulls have still scored a lot of points. But I think that the Western Province, like, breakdown-wise, they've been beaten every time throughout this game. But attack-wise, they haven't looked too bad throughout the second 40 minutes. Now, 11 minutes remaining of this matchup. I will mention afterwards we are going to have a guest or two, in fact, on the channel. So we are going to be talking through what has happened in this game as well as the next one as well. At least Province are not giving up. And we don't like close up here, temperature regardless. Says Fleshin. And 54 points to 29 is the end score prediction from 1-2-3 for that one. At the moment, the women's game between South Africa and New Zealand XV is currently sitting with 15 minutes remaining. This game going that little bit more smoothly at this point in time. And 6-pack of Clip Drift. Now the scrum, the replacement, Ngobeni, to feed the ball in for the Western Province in a game that they just haven't quite been able to get it moving enough. Oh, too much weight. It's the call there. So the free kick now going the way of Western Province. Stedman Hans makes a good shot on. Back across to the right-hand side again. Finds Nell this time. Player we haven't actually seen all throughout this whole matchup, I don't think. I don't think that's from lack of him doing things. It's just more so I never ended up saying it. Now picked up by Chris Smith. And Province are showing some grit and respect for their spectators. Here's Deacon. Well, that's the thing. Like, in front of a home crowd, it can be brutal to lose. But to lose when you don't look like you're fully trying, that's the type of thing that will put people off for the season. Whereas in this game, you'd have to argue maybe just a little bit of roughness, plus getting outplayed by this Bulls team. Like, this Western Province team have potential. And what do they feed? Lizzo down there in Cape Town. He looks like Azanathi 2.0. says Eric there. And yep, says Deacon. Now going to be rolled back. And kicked downfield by the Western Province. Good exit from inside of their 22 from Ezekiel Ngobeni. We'll go like this. And like that. Now 9 minutes remaining. What I will quickly do is I will get that link and send it over to the two fellows who are going to be joining me while we have got about 9 minutes remaining. I'm pretty sure they will jump on pretty much straight after this stream does come to a close. And crowd definitely appreciate the underlying effort. Says Lilia B. Well, yeah, it's just what you want to see from a side. Because too many times a side will go, oh, we're losing this by a lot, we give up. But that hasn't been the case here. We have seen them still trying for every little inch of this game that they can get. And once again, they've just been beaten by a far better team in this match. Crowd definitely appreciate. Oh no, I read that one. And Bulls too physical for Province. Yeah, the Bulls have been good in this game. And the fact that they've still had their fair share of mistakes along the way too and are looking this handy. Like, they're going to be a tough side to beat in this competition. Stedman Hans with the wide cutout pass. Does bounce up to Henry Immelman, who looked for the offload. It did seem like Chris Smith wasn't quite ready for it. Tackled low by Vokozela. Well, goes backwards. The big clear release from Vokozela there, but he's gone down on his head. Now pick and go. Looks like maybe a Bulls player down and back play. I want to say that is actually Chris Smith, who's been very busy in this game. Deuce Gravino Jacobs just going for a little bit of territory. And now it's Shilton Van Wyk trying to run it down the short side here. Popped on the inside from Skorson. Ngubeni pops it across to Gary Porter. One of the players who did get himself a yellow card. If you change a couple letters of his name and reshuffle a little bit, you get the name of an Australian winger from that British and Irish Lions game. Now, Ngubeni under pressure, and there is going to be another advantage Bulls might semis in the championship this year. And 10 more minutes and Pretoria celebrates God willing. So here's Adrian Lowe. And Shane Welsh fans must be the most loyal fans. Our box supporters would go 8 if we lose 17 in a row. Says Sakabola. Oh, okay. I think that might have been March 410 there for the Bulls. Oh no, I think they were just finding the mark actually. No lie, Sakabola. There's Chantel. This time it is going to be the penalty against the big man, Rudolph, who's had a phenomenal game up till this point. And even with that, oh no, missing touch for the Western Province and now kicked into touch. In fact, that didn't find touch. I think one of the Western Province players thought it was going straight out and then it just continued to curve back inwards. Come on, the Bulls, Western Province deserve a 50. Says Eric. And we'd need one more try to be able to get it. Honestly, sometimes I wish I was an Italian rugby fan, just no pressure. Says, good story, bro. Now kicked him behind after the drop ball. And again, it will be the Bulls scrum. It's getting that little bit closer to the end of this matchup. Oh, yeah, knocked on for, I want to say it was actually Luke Berger, who didn't get much of a hand to a man of the match champions as always. Oh, it's almost that time. It's been a blast. Our wild's forever, brother. See, here's Blues Nate there. We have also got the donation from Deacon. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your South African rands. I believe that is, if I'm not wrong, in terms of the conversions that we did, that is all but a pack of biltong. One moment. We will find that exact calculation. So that is, one moment. I will switch that to South African rand. We go, and we will go to New Zealand dollars. We've got to find out this calculation. I think we're very close. South African rand, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I've lost it. There it is. So that is $3.27 New Zealand. And I do see that biltong, it is $5.20, so we're halfway there. So yeah, greatly appreciated, Deacon, for your generosity. How we have got there, we are fantastic. We live in any win, or we live within it, we live with it. Any win is a bonus. People forget how small Wales is. I think that is just because of how well they've gone in the past too, in terms of playing above their population. Bulls Lucy so good, and Gourmeti also coming back from injuries. Yeah, like you've got Gourmeti, you've got the other guys who aren't there at the moment. You've got Eldrick Lowe, Cameron Honeycomb, Marco van Staden, all guys who aren't playing in this game. So like they do run deep in those loose forwards. Okay, they are just talking about a player Olympic only time I support the Bulls. As when I've got money on them, says World Chance twice, and rugby is a national sport in Wales. That's why the losing streak hurt them so badly, says Big Rig Joe, and Wales punched above their weight for decades, hats off. And also WP have struggled today. They've struggled to find their rhythm a little bit more than I think some did anticipate. The Bulls seemed like they had no rust with the fact that they joined up together and they just found their rhythm from the get-go. For sure, says Deacon. I'm sure that sounded a lot cooler when you say it rather than when I try and sound cool and say it. Wales are like William Afton. They always come back. I have no idea who that is. Is it true Wales are cutting some of their teams because of financial issues? It wouldn't surprise me, if I'm being honest. South Africa versus New Zealand women, one person just fainted without being tackled. That's new. Was it a player for South Africa or a player for New Zealand that did end up going down? So I am just watching that game in a little tiny screen. I've got it up. He's the villain of Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a game that I've never played because I get jump scared far too easily. So I'd end up probably really struggling with that game. I actually went through a patch a while ago how I bought about 6 horror games and I was like, I'm going to play them because I'm a big, brave boy. And then I never touched them. And they're still there. That was like 5 years ago. But I haven't been jump scared. Well, I have been jump scared since, but not by them. Now, 4 minutes remaining. I've gone off on a lot of weird tangents. I think I'm overtired. New Zealand number 21 fainted. Right. Well, that is not ideal. Did anyone watch Wildcard after the British Lions or British and Irish Lions game? Felt so sorry for him. I haven't seen his video yet. I know that some people only watch when the Australians lose. So I'd assume that there's going to be a lot of people who look at it. And hopefully, people aren't too mean to him about it. I'm a province guy, but got a spread bet on 23 of 23 on the Bulls. Good job. I'm terrible at predictions. Bulls taking on the 3 points now. Rather than going for anything more risky, they're just going, look, 48 points, happy enough for us. Biota Chamberlain sitting 7 from 7, 6 conversions, 1 penalty, 4 to a 4 throughout the day. And also, I should mention that will mean that it wears down a minute of the clock. You don't risk any injury. In that regard, we have got the donation from Mike. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for the late hour sacrifice to bringing us the game. No worries at all. We have covered quite a few games throughout this weekend, even though there was only one international match. Like I said, I wanted to do the Currie Cup to see how it was going to shape up. That game tomorrow is still a little bit to be confirmed, just because I will be working early Monday morning, I believe, so that might make it relatively tricky, but we'll see what we can do. And I save us wasting our data, Sakabula, worth the watch, and now why on earth would you be tight? Is a cool story, bro, in there as well. And no, man, why not go for the corner to score, says Eric. I guess points differential. They've gone, look, we've got enough. We're just willing to close out this contest with a big win. Now, being told to use it. What I will quickly do is I will get that scoreboard ready for full time. We'll go like that, but nice run there. Tristan Lades gets it away to Makata, now offloaded on the inside to Ngobeni. Zane David still trying to find his way through, but they've done well to shut down his physicality throughout this match. Play on, still going to be the call. Ngobeni, once again, feeding the backs. We're doing a little bit of multitasking here, and we're not doing terribly at it, I have to say. Backline movement here for the Province going off to the right-hand side, and they have knocked that ball on. And that kind of sums up the day a little bit for them. I think they've done well to get 23 points, though. And you'd also have to say they're probably a bit unlucky not to have more in this game. However, I think Samoa could beat Wales. Says 1, 2, 3 MS. And rugby in Wales is and was a mixture of working class and uni. I'll always be on the cusp. Tribal, we'll be back sometime soon, says Fleshin. We will go like this. And like this as well. I'm just making sure that we have still got the guests coming on in 1 minute's time at the end of this contest, but it will be the scrum feed for the Bulls. And like that. I think that we are still getting guests, ladies and gents. Now running forward. I mean, nicely taken by the Bulls. 1 minute remaining on the clock. 30 seconds left. That's a wrap. Nice one, Hamish. Thanks, mate. Says Adrian. So, yeah, be sure to stick around for after the match where we will be doing a little bit of a summary of what we've seen in the Currie Cup today. Although that first game was a bit more one-sided than many would have liked. Western Province, so get that last penalty. Got now 15 more seconds. Ngubeni going off to the left-hand side. Tristan Lades going to Shilton Van Wyk. Well, Makata cleans it up. 6 seconds remaining. Both sides, or both were one-sided. Yeah, although I do think that this side here in Western Province put in more effort than we saw from the Sharks in that one, and disappointed, but not too surprised. Glad Western Province gave some club boys a go. I never know who might shine, says Private. I do think that, certain players in this team have looked quite decent. Oh, Makata goes through. And it's just a shame about the Nokia injury. Pass and Ngubeni, forward pass there. That will be rolled back, and that is now the end of the contest, ladies and gentlemen. Full time in this one after the 80 minutes of action. It will be the win for the Bulls over the Western Province, but 48 points to 23. And we are good there. Thanks, Sam. A huge shift again from you. That's for the day, or that's it for the day, right? Other than the post-review that we are going to be doing with Vic and Vern of Vic and Vern Sports Chat, which is always very fun to say, I do have to say. That was a lot of saying in a row. That's another game wrapped up, and thanks, guys and Hamish. What we are going to do, though, while we are chatting to Vic and Vern, is we are going to get the end of that women's match between New Zealand and South Africa. I'm so tired. I still need to go and study, says Gatzenell. Well, hopefully you can find that next gear and that little bit of motivation to keep on going. And thanks for the great commentary. Hamish says, Russell, no worries at all. It is greatly appreciate you being here for this one. But the full-time score, Western Province 23 to the 48 of the Bulls. I think that one, even though it was a bit more one-sided than some wanted, only negative for the Bulls not getting 50, says Eric. Yeah, I think they'll be slightly disappointed, but they could have. That's the thing. They decided to go for 3 at the end rather than going for the 7. So I feel like that kind of, that took away their last big attacking chance that they may have had. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest, says Private. And also, if you're there, just pretend you got the box trying to tackle you. You wake right up, says Big Rig Joe. But what we have got now, ladies and gentlemen, is a guest, or in fact, we've got 2 guests who are about to make their way onto the channel. You guys might remember them from the under-20s. I see a Stormers kid on one of them, so be nice, is what I could say. But nonetheless, Vic and Vern, ladies and gents. Hello, lads. How are we doing?
Good, man. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. 3rd live stream. It's currently 5 a.m., but I still, for some reason, have a whole heap of energy. That game, it was not as close as people wanted, but it was still the better game of today, would you say?
Yes, definitely. He wanted it to be close. No, both our teams didn't do well. He's a Western Province Stormers fan. I'm a Sharks fan. The Sharks were horrifically bad today. But, I thought it was the better game than the early game, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it just seemed to be that the Western Province had more fight too than the Sharks did. They kind of seemed to accept the fact that they had lost and they were just not quite getting too much going. The Province, I want to say they probably deserved 1 or 2 more tries for how they were playing in that middle patch, but it was just the handling errors, letting the ball slip through the fingers those yellow cards, they were brutal, weren't they?
Yeah, and look, we knew that the Bulls were going to win when you saw the lineups because you've got a Zach Berger and you got a Bota Chamberlain. I mean, they are veterans. I mean, Zach Berger's in the Springbok, who was around the Springbok team and stuff like that. So on the 9 and the 10, you've got 2 seasoned players that are close to Springboks playing 9 and 10, and then people like Stedman Gans in there. There's just too many good. Where Western Province didn't have anybody that actually, you won't see any of the Western Province players play in the URC.
Yeah, or not a huge amount anyway. I do
No.
think that a couple of those sevens guys, if they weren't playing sevens, maybe like I thought Shilton Funvake from the back at times did have some impressive moments. Although I think the talk of the town at the moment was that Bulls loose forward trio, particularly Jandre Rudolph and that number 8 jersey.
Our man of the match.
Our man of the match.
Yeah, he was phenomenal throughout this game, and I think he was backed up well by Pokamela and Nabakaba too. I thought both of those two did quite well, but the breakdown work, a little bit similar to what we saw between the Lions and the Sharks. One side were far superior, and it was just very lopsided in terms of those chances. But having 2 locks off was certainly something that you don't see too often. The scrum looked utterly confused. The 6-on-8 it was going to be at one point. But I guess as a Stormers supporter, Vern, and a Western Province man, when you look at this game, do you see positives? Do you see a bright future for this Currie Cup, or do you think that there has to be massive changes for it to go right?
I think there has to be massive changes.
Okay. What kind?
I think they'll have to bring maybe some players from the URC down if they want to make the semi-finals.
I mean, they almost got relegated last year.
Yeah.
They only came out of the top, out of the 8 teams in the Currie Cup. You guys finished 7th,
and the Griffins were really so bad that there was no point. But I was disappointed, especially in the pack.
There you go.
Exactly. That's just the last year's one. I didn't mean for it to go right over your face.
I just thought the Bulls pack was dominant. They were the mauls were dominant. The scrums were dominant.
Look, you got to be fair. You got to be fair. In South African rugby, you have 2 teams that have the financial clout. And that's the Bulls and the Sharks. Even the Sharks are terrible today, but if you look at the UCR teams, I mean, the Bulls is owned by one of the richest men in South Africa, if not one of the richest. Money is not such an issue for them at the moment. I mean, there's no other team in South Africa, or maybe the Sharks could, but Western Province, or let's say the Stormers, they're not bringing in somebody like Andre Pollard to play in their squad. They can't afford that kind of player. And then obviously, if you're bringing in that kind of people on the top, obviously you can push down the others to the bottom. So the Bulls will have a good Currie Cup team. But we watched the game. I know you did the game as well last night between the Pumas and the Griquas, which I thought it was a good game.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed for the Currie Cup, because Currie Cup used to be obviously our premier competition in South Africa. Did you see the stadium last night in Nelspruit? I mean, you could count the people. There were not. Did you see the stadium today in Ellis Park? Empty. The Stormers will all Western Province, call them Western Province now. They will always have spectators, because they're the most watched team in South Africa. Funnily enough, is Western Province, and the Stormers have the most crowds always. But I just feel for the Currie Cup as a competition. I don't know. I wanted to ask you, how is it in New Zealand? You also have that competition beneath the Super Rugby. Do you also have empty stadiums? How is that competition?
The Bunnings NPC, the last couple of years, I think, has been struggling a little bit. But then the thing is, with Super Rugby supposedly on the rise in terms of viewership and everything like that, I hope that sometimes it will go down to NPC level, because the thing is, if you sit down and you watch an NPC game, it can be extremely entertaining. And some just tremendous rugby is played. It's a little bit similar to here in New Zealand. You could go down on a Saturday and watch a random side and you'd be relatively happy with the way that they play. But I think with the fact that the games are quite restricted, it's a bit similar to the Currie Cup. I think Currie Cup should be free to wear in South Africa, because at the end of the day, that's the kind of almost grassroots competition that made people fall in love with the rugby and the rivalries of the different teams and everything like that. And the NPC is the same. You can only get it on Sky. So that means that anyone who just wants a casual game of rugby to watch on a Saturday, you can't do that. You have to pay $50 a month to be able to watch a competition. And some people just don't want to take that amount of financial stress, I guess you could say, by locking it in. Of course, it's different with the All Blacks playing and everything. And I think some people will sign up for those games, but then Sky get a bit strategic and they go with match passes and kind of competition passes. So the NPC, but it was an intriguing weekend of Currie Cup rugby, because like I said, normally they don't actually show these games in New Zealand. We've been missing out for the last couple of years. So because I've been able to cover this one, like it's different from 2022 when we last did it on the channel. It seems like the vibe has changed a little bit. That it seems like it's almost more so, I don't want to say it's a training run for the URC, but it just seems like there's a bit of something missing in some regards.
Yeah. And this year it's the competition was cut down. There's only 7 games this year you play because of the URC and the internationals and everything being packed into it. I just think, too much rugby. I mean, we love rugby and it's good for our channels. We get to do stuff every weekend, stuff like that. But I think it's just too much rugby.
Yeah.
For the players.
Yeah, and then the Club World Cup, of course, something else that's being brought in. Like, there's going to be so much extra going on, because I haven't actually looked at the exact schedules at this point in time, because I know that in about 42 days is the last regular round of the Currie Cup. And then I think that would be meaning about 49 days, maybe 56 till the final, somewhere around there. I just want to have a quick wee look, as I have got the Springboks schedule somewhere here for their upcoming games. But in the Rugby Championship, does that mean that with the shortened competition, we won't actually get to see the Springboks players in action for the Currie Cup? Because I know a lot of people...
No, there will be no Springbok players in the Currie Cup. Forget it.
And that's the sad thing in a way. But I also do like the fact that the guys who earn the spot throughout the season will be able to play for their title
that's
at the end. But it's that whole balance of viewership as well. A lot more people would be tuning in. But those last games, sorry, Vic, again, you're just unfortunately on the wrong side of the day. But
this is there's quality out there. Good-looking people. We got rid of the riffraff. The mongrel is out. It's good. It's good. Keep that up there. I like it.
The early stages of October for when that one's going to be happening for that final Rugby Championship game. So, Currie Cup will be done and dusted.
I hope next week we can maybe see some of the U20 World Cup winners in the Currie Cup. Yeah, that's why we actually wanted to watch the Currie Cup, to see some of those U20 players play a bit, which would be excellent.
Yeah, and then you have people. I mean, we said today, look, the Bulls and the Lions put out strong teams today. A lot of players. Some of the players from the Bulls and the Lions, obviously, they're going to be in the URC. Zach Berger, Bulta Chamberlain. But I was actually surprised, that the Sharks didn't put out players like Jorn Penix or the 2 Hendricks brothers that haven't played rugby for a hell of a long time. They should give them a little bit of game time before the URC season starts. Give them 1 or 2 games. Maybe they'll play them next week or in a home game or something like that. But you got to give those players also a run out that are not in the Springbok squad. That you can't have it. I mean, the Hendricks brothers are going to have something. If they don't play any of the Currie Cup games till the first URC game, they're going to have 3.5 months off.
Yeah, and that's just that's the thing. Of course, we want to see these guys playing rugby, but that type of extended layoff can do absolute shocking things to your form. But that's the thing. The Sharks, they were probably the most surprising lineup of the weekend, I would say, in terms of the amount of debutants. And maybe it was just to get those guys a bit of a run round early, because, of course, so many injuries already in this Currie Cup competition. We did see Esterhuizen go down for the Lions with what looks like it's going to be a severe one. But maybe that was just something from the Sharks to say, we're a good enough side that if this game goes astray, at least we've given those guys a chance early, something like that. But it's a weird tactic. Surely you want to beat the Lions at Ellis Park, seeing as you beat them in the final last year, right? But then they lost the first game up against them last year too.
And I think you can't look. Somebody's going to have 4 home games, and somebody's only going to have 3 home games. I think a lot of the teams are probably going, look, we've got to try to win our home games. I think because there's only 7 games, I think you get into the top 4 if you win. If you win 4 or 5 games, you're definitely in the top 4.
Yeah.
And we'll see tomorrow. I'm going to be surprised. Well, surprised. I'm looking forward to seeing the Cheetahs, because I think the Cheetahs, this is a competition the Cheetahs would try to win. Yep. That's okay.
That's their top
that's their competition, and then all they have left is the what's his name? The Challenge Cup. Then that's also Investec and Challenge Cup, even more rugby to be played. Rugby's getting like football. I mean, it's like 12 months in the year. It's just rugby now, you know.
Because the Premier League, they are just about back again, aren't they? And they only just finished a few weeks ago. And the top 14's the same. They are pretty much this July internationals. As much as people gave the French side stick that they were selected for the All Blacks tour, like you look and the top 14's back in I think it's 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Exactly.
And they're back into it again. So that's the only break these guys actually get throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, plenty of rugby still on, of course. And you guys, of course, will be covering a lot of it on your channel too. Anyone who doesn't know who these two fellas are, this is Vic and this is Vern. Vic is the one on the right as you see them, and Vern is the one on the left in the Stormers kit, but don't bring it up. But yeah, they have got a YouTube channel as well. Be sure to check it out as they do a daily sports show about what is happening around the world. You guys would have been absolutely stacked in terms of the amount of sports you've had to cover recently. We got the golf going on. Do you do golf? I don't think you do golf, do you?
Well, in that morning show, it's golf, it's rugby, it's cricket, it's sumo, it's basically everything that, you know, if somebody writes us on the fans, can you do this tomorrow? We'll add it in, but you know, all the North American sports, obviously football, rugby's in there. Yeah, we just have a lot of fun in the mornings. We don't take the show too seriously because we got some crazy people in the chats and stuff. So you know, we just have a lot of fun and enjoy the sports and stuff like that. A lot of banter going on. But before we go, because I'm going for a dinner date today, I'm looking forward to that. I wanted to ask you, the Wallabies against the Lions.
Ah, yes.
We've got to get into that for a second.
I really wanted it to be 1-1. I'll be honest. I wanted to see the decider. And I do think that the Wallabies needed it to be 1-1 because now, I don't know what Wallabies team we're going to see in the third test, whether or not they're going to be this all-new motivated side again or whether that game there was their big chance. Because, you know, after that, it doesn't get easier. You head to South Africa, you play the world champs twice in the rugby championship. So, yeah.
Good.
I liked what I saw.
I do believe next week the Lions squad will also be totally changed.
Yeah.
I think now they can. That hasn't got a look in. He'll play. A lot of the guys that were brought in as reserves, especially the guys that were taken off Scotland, I think they'll all play next week. He'll give them a run out, you know. But I was impressed. I was actually quite impressed with the way Australia turned up today. I thought they played very well.
They actually showed a little bit of Australia of old throughout that game. But the problem was, as well as they were playing, when I looked at it after the game as well and, you know, looking at the timeline and everything, really it was that 10 minutes where they did very well. But then outside of that, they actually didn't score a lot of points.
That was from the 25th minute to the 35th minute. That was where they were dominant. But, I mean, we were hammering the coach during the week because we thought McDermott should have started today. But I got to say, Gordon played very well today. He played very well. So nothing. But the big change came with Valentini and with Skelton. That
unbelievable.
And I'm telling you now, maybe the coach won't admit it, but he saw what the island boys there, the Pacific and First Nation team did with the brutality, and he brought that brutality into the Australian team today, and that helped them out. Porecki that came in, that was very good. That you know, even Langy Gleeson when he came off the bench, that helped the Australians, and they need to build on that because I think their backline is phenomenal. I think they've got a good talent there, but I think if they want to be relevant in the next 2 years, building up to the World Cup, it's that pack that they need to build up.
Yeah, and I think the biggest shock was that Valentini sub at halftime. I don't know whether or not that was tactical or whether there was some sort of injury there, but for me, that just seemed to change the momentum a little bit, definitely after you've just conceded 2 quick tries. You need those physical guys still out there. And Skelton, you know, maybe he came off a few minutes earlier than people would have liked, but he did put in quite a shift before having to make his way off. But yeah, the Lions... He's a big bloke. You know he's big. And then you look at him. There was that time where he was fighting with both of the Irish props with one hand, and then he had a Toje out the side with the other hand.
He's just an animal, man. He looked like he was enjoying himself, pushing them around and stuff like that. And was like, and he's just smiling at them. It was like, what the hell do you think you're going to do against me? I mean, you know, he's kind of like he's like the Ibn Etzebeth of Australia, you know.
A little Imagine bit those two going head to head in July, or in fact, sorry, in August. That would be a bit brutal, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the funniest thing I think in that whole altercation was the fact that afterwards he was like to the ref, "Oh, sorry, it's quite loud. I didn't hear you." He fully heard the ref for that one, but he just wanted to get those little sneaky shots in. But yeah, of course, a sneaky shot or a legal shot was the talk of the town for the final moment of that game. That wasn't how anyone wanted to see that game end, was it? In terms of a controversial 50-50 that honestly both sides can feel if they were given or not given, they'd feel hard done by.
I mean, look, I think everybody that was hoping for it to tie up, I said, oh, penalty, no try straight away. But yeah, like you said, it's a toss-up. It's a 50-50. I mean, you give it. Look, if it was the other way around, and he didn't give it, and the Aussies would have scored the try, and he didn't give it, all Aussies would have been upset. It's one of those where you can say, look, did he get it wrong or did he get it right? It is what it is. And Australia had the opportunities early in the game where they were up there, and those last 5 minutes before halftime, that cost them the game. The last 5 minutes before halftime, it wasn't that last ditch try that cost them So,
and also those couple minutes before as well, Tom Lynagh missing touch. I think that was a brutal one for Australia as well, because, they could have been down at halfway and then you work your way towards getting a 3 at some point or perhaps a try. But yeah, those little moments for the Aussies, and also just getting 3 points throughout the last about 45 minutes of the game. I think that was the big difference. And the Lions, to their credit, for a side that normally throughout the other matches, their trend has been do well first half, foot off the gas, little bit more, I guess, relying on that scoreboard that they have in the second. But they actually showed that they have a lot of grit coming from behind in that game, which is something they didn't have to show throughout those other games. So I feel like they probably learn a lot from this game too. They were possibly a little bit more surprised with what Australia threw out there than some. But I think third test, I know that, let's say, for instance, that second match, the Lions, because of how they come back, they deserve to win that game. But everyone wanted the decider.
Of course you wanted it. It makes it, next week is kind of becomes a friendly kind of game.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of change and stuff like that. But, there's one guy that really annoyed me in that Lions test. I was annoyed. Before the game, they brought this beautiful interview with Moro Itoje, right? Talked well, everything. He said everything right, beautiful. He's a little whiny little baby here. Ref, they started. I was like, what are you, a third grade or what? No, they pushed us first and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, man. That let me down. I mean, I can't see the captain of New Zealand go, well, they started first or something like that. Nah, come on. I was a little bit annoyed at that. But look, maybe just because I just wanted the Aussies to win so badly. I wanted a special game next weekend, and yes, we'll cover the game, but it's not going to be that special. It's not going to have that fire next week.
Well, that's the thing. The Australians have to be a little bit strategic about who they use here, because they can't afford a big player going down with an injury before the Rugby Championship. So I think that, if you're looking at someone like a James O'Connor, I mentioned about it before the match because someone asked, would they play him in match number 3? And I said, if it's 1-1, I don't think they will. But if it's 2-0, they probably will give him the chance. Because Tom Lynagh, he's had a couple shaky moments. But overall, I feel like he's not a bad young fly half option for them, while Noah Lolesio is out of the running. And he actually built that chemistry with Jake Gordon too. But yeah, Lolesio's injury up against Fiji was just the worst possible timing for him. But then saying that, he's going overseas too, isn't he? So he can't be the guy that they build their team around now, but Lynagh could be. Or perhaps Donaldson, if he's given that chance. But yeah, less rugby than the last few weekends. I'm sure you guys have enjoyed the slightly breezier type of feel to it. But Currie Cup still, of course, in action. Another game tomorrow. Are you guys covering it?
We're covering that one. We said, to be honest, we'll do every game on the first weekend and then kind of assess where we're going to go. Because next week, for me, I'm moving house next week. So Vern's going to do a lot of the stuff during the week. So, we'll just see what we're going to do. But, I mean, there's good games next week because the big four in the Currie Cup kind of still play against each other next week.
Yeah.
And what is it? I think Western Province traveled to the Lions, and the Bulls and the Sharks play. So, yeah, we'll see what we'll do. We'll see what we'll do. But we're going to enjoy it. I mean, look, we're going to have a little bit of a break because all of a sudden that URC is going to start. Then you're going to have at the same time the top 14 and all of a sudden the Super Rugby. The worst time is when it's Super Rugby and the URC because then we have like 8 or 9 games, one after the other. That kind of gets to you, that doing live streams for like almost 24 hours nonstop. But it's rugby and we enjoy it,
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, August's going to be busy with the Rugby Championship, the Pacific Nations Cup also coming in for that rugby too. But we will be covering it on both channels, of course, ladies and gents. So be sure to stick around. Also be sure to check out for Convern. Like I mentioned, they have got that daily sports show, which I have been tuning into too, because otherwise I have no idea what's happening outside of the world of rugby. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.